It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff and Stacy are here. There is a lot to talk about, including the amazing kind of revolution at VidCon. It's all about TikTok, baby. And by the way, is the next president going to be a former YouTube influencer? Google, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook all head to Congress. We'll talk about that testimony and the coverage and a baby named Google. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 517, recorded Wednesday, July 17th, 2019. And his last name was Higginbotham. This Week in Google is brought to you by Worldwide Technology. WWT's Advanced Technology Center is like no other testing and research lab, with more than $500 million of equipment, including great OEMs like NetApp. And it's virtual, so you can access it 24/7. To learn more and get insights into all that it offers, go to wwt.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest of the Google-verse, which includes the Facebook-verse, the Twitter-verse, the Thingiverse, and the Stacy Higginbotham-verse. Hello, Stacy, from Stacy on IoT.com and the IoTpodcast.com. Kevin was great last week, filled in for you, but
Thank you, Kevin.
We always miss you when you're not here. So
yeah, I had my Botox yesterday, so we should.
By the way,
should be okay.
When Stacy gets the Botox, this is not cosmetic. She does not need, in any way, shape, or form, cosmetic help. This is for your headaches, but it works.
It does. It works really well.
That's amazing.
I just can't. I can't just
go ahead.
wrinkle
Go
my
ahead.
forehead.
Wrinkle your forehead. Go ahead. Try.
That's all I can do. I can't wrinkle it. I'm trying so hard.
No, stop. Don't. I don't want you to get a headache. Also with us, Jeff Jarvis. He is a headache. BuzzMachines.com, professor of journalism at the Townite Graduate Center for Journalism at the City University of New York. Always a pleasure, Jeff. Happy birthday. He's not going to like it. He doesn't want me to say it, but he celebrated his birthday this week. Yeah.
Yay, Jeff.
Yay.
Jeff.
Look how grumpy.
You're older and wiser and grumpier. Look at you.
Okay, Jeff.
I'm very grumpy. Very
Jeff.
Are not working
So
as well
Jeff's been playing with FaceApp, which is
I'm
that.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to send it to Karsten.
Send it to Karsten so he can show it. That's that crazy app.
You want to show yours first?
Yeah.
Because mine's going to be funnier.
No. Mine look. I look so old.
Mine's going to be funnier. I guarantee you.
Look how old I look in that. It's horrible.
That's terrifying.
Terrifying.
So shush.
No, you want to see the. I don't want to spoil yours, Jeff, because mine looks so old. I want to see yours first.
Mine is going to be worse. I guarantee it.
All right, I'll show you mine, and then you show me yours. Okay. This is what FaceApp, which is a viral app.
Ah!
This went viral about 8 months ago or something, and now it's come back. I guess they have new features, but one of the features is it'll age you.
Look at that waddle. It's so gross.
The waddle is the
waddle's the one thing I actually have, but thanks very much, Stacy.
No.
All about the waddle.
I think I look distinguished. Actually, I look like Freddy Krueger, for crying out loud. That's okay. Wait a minute. Is Jeff's worse? Yours is worse?
Yeah.
How could yours be worse? All right, Karsten's got to pull it up here. I think it's a pretty cool app. I mean, I don't know if I will look like. That's exactly what you're going to look like.
That is what I think you're going to look like, Jeff.
Thanks a lot.
Ancient Mariner.
Although your glasses are being swallowed by your face in this one, so I think
Well, they've been on for 40 years.
Jeff, bad
like
news,
the wrinkles
Jeff.
are growing around.
Jeff, this is about 15 years from now, Jeff. I got bad news for you.
Shut up.
For both of us.
Shut up.
I'm a couple of years behind you. That's all. I think. Now, here's the thing. At what point do we stop doing video in these podcasts? What do you think, Jeff? Stacy, you got to do this too. You have FaceApp yet? I want to see what Stacy looks like old.
I didn't do it because I don't do those knowing that they used my photograph for all kinds of things.
Well, and it's funny because that is the story.
You now have lost the rights to your face, to that photo. You now no longer have copyright.
So the way this works is you upload it to the cloud, because they have to do the editing in the cloud. But this app comes from Russia, and the app's creators are harvesting metadata. Close research, this is from the Verge. Close research suggests FaceApp isn't doing anything particularly unusual in its code or its network traffic. However, they do have your picture now. And so that's the issue. An ex-Yandex executive and CEO of the Russian company that created the app, Yaroslav Goncharov, said that photos uploaded to the app are stored in the company's servers to save bandwidth if several filters are applied, but they will get deleted not too long after. And because of GDPR, I would imagine, according to TechCrunch, FaceApp says you can request that your face be removed from our server. However, if you do, you'll get a message saying the team's currently overloaded. But users can send the request through settings, support, report a bug with the word privacy in the subject line. But they're in Russia. So, But you know what? Everybody's got my face, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
Well, yes. In all of these apps, I mean, when you looked at Microsoft, it wasn't Hot or Not. Microsoft had one where you did your face.
Same thing, and they predict your age. Yeah. In fact, Microsoft, that came out of Microsoft Research. That was so they could get face data.
Right. And Google did a very similar effort with a couple of their apps, actually. They had the art face app thing. So this is very common. It's just I don't like participating in them.
Yeah, that makes
someone
sense.
Could take
you
a
just
picture
don't want to imagine yourself with wrinkles since you have none now. You're physically incapable of wrinkling now.
Do you think FaceApp would detect the Botox and say, well, you're actually going to look exactly the same?
Well, only my forehead. I don't have Botox anywhere else. So see, look, there's wrinkles right by my eyes. See, I'm smizing.
It's perfect. It's perfect. You're perfect. This is the same issue with TikTok, which is a Chinese-based company that kids all over the world are uploading videos to crazily. In fact, now, Jeff, you and I wanted to go to VidCon but didn't.
Right.
Apparently, this is from an Atlantic article, Taylor Lawrence, saying TikTok stars are preparing to take over the internet. At the VidCon party, YouTube hosted its annual party. Influencers, industry professionals, sipping beer, eating vegetable skewers as DJs blasted pop hits. Taylor writes, the party felt like a generic corporate-sponsored event, probably because the real party was in 1.9 miles down the road at a private event hosted by TikTok. It was a private event for creators only, no marketers, no fans. But it was by 8:15, 15 minutes after the party started, at the Bowlmore Lanes in L.A. It was so packed that hundreds of creators were left standing outside. Sam Coe, he has 300,000 followers, arrived 15 minutes early by 10. I'm sorry, she was still trying to get in. I'm annoyed. We drove all the way here from Santa Monica. I see other huge creators here too, and they're still waiting in line. So the party, by the way, they loaded, this is gummy bears on the bowling alley seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
People are already saying that TikTok is the next big thing. And if VidCon, which really was created by YouTubers to highlight YouTubers, is taken over by TikTok, I mean, can the world be far behind?
But also goes to say no platform is forever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I've got a story on the rundown saying Google search is passé now. There's all these other searches out there. All this fear that they're all going to take over the world and own it forever. So far,
actually, stay tuned for my tip though, because I have a tip at the end. I discovered a little something, and I got a tip for you that will help you if you wish to wean yourself from the Goog.
I was going to say we do get new platforms. They just get purchased by the bigger players. So think about WhatsApp and Instagram.
TikTok is not for sale, however. In fact,
but Musically was most of it came from Musically,
right?
And not Yandex. What is the name of the Chinese company who?
Baidu.
Is it Baidu who owns?
Oh no, they're owned by Tencent.
They are owned by Tencent.
I think so. They spent, get ready for this, $1 billion on advertising last year. $1 billion, And they paid one
Fair.
influencer $1 million for a 15-second video. They're actively wooing YouTube's creators. First quarter of 2019, the third most installed app worldwide, right behind WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. 1.2 billion monthly users globally. That's bigger than Instagram. And coming up on YouTube, which is 1.9, and Facebook itself, of course, more than 2 billion. TikTok is big, but this is the point. Every video you create on TikTok is sent to China.
Shall we
you
go
wanna
on
hear something
TikTok for a
funny?
second and look at some?
Sure, go ahead. Something funny while I fire up TikTok.
So my daughter she is young. She turns 13 in a month. And her favorite thing to do on TikTok is to watch recreations of popular old Vines. It is mind-blowing.
How meta.
Because frankly,
meta.
TikTok is Vine.
It is Vine. And she just she speaks only in memes. And it is her I should have her come on the show and do a guide to what teens think in the meme scene. But yeah,
That's pretty
only
wild.
Vines. And there are some fun TikToks. And there are some stupid ones.
It's you know what? Just as Vine was a great platform for people to to make, what was it, 6-second videos that were hysterical in many cases, and these people were propelled to fame and fortune. You got to think Twitter bought Vine and killed it. You got to think Twitter's looking at TikTok saying, what have we done? I can't show TikTok videos from TikTok.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I can do it on my phone.
Then go to trending. Go to trending.
TikTok. Oh, I see. It's on the website if I go to trending hashtags.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's turn on some sound and see what these guys.
It's Marvin Howard. Oh, you got it. Thank you. Oh, man.
So these are influencers talking about influencers.
At VidCon.
Oh, what's up, Dakota? Let's go.
That's I guess good if you know who those people are. How about this one? This is a kid. Because remember, the part of this was originally to lip sync to existing music. So they're eating cotton candy, and the guy's in the thing with a mask, and there's too much bass. My amp can't handle it. I don't know what that is. How about what
Elmer's glue. Elmer's glue.
Elmer's glue, color changing glue, ladies and gentlemen. Here's some sandals. We squirt color changing glue on the sandals and sprinkle them.
That was exciting.
With sprinkles. And now you have candy shoes.
That are terribly uncomfortable to wear.
That looks so painful.
What if you just put paper in the bottom and then did it? It'd be so much better.
Good.
There is a wonderful subreddit on Reddit called DIY, spelled WHY, and that belongs on DIY. Then there's just people singing songs. This little Huddy. I see why this can speak to the youngs. So your daughter likes it.
She doesn't she only likes the recreation of the Vines.
Oh, that's all she watches?
So she doesn't that's all she watches.
Wow.
And why, I don't know.
Let's see what
But
hashtag
The death
pets.
of Vine left a huge hole in many people's
Many
lives.
people's lives. They were bereft.
She thinks a lot of them are a little too mean or risque or stupid in a not fun way.
Yeah.
She's kind of an absurdist, though.
Here's,
I'll be honest.
from the hashtag Pets Are People, a Vine has been viewed more than 1.3 million times. Did I say Vine? I meant TikTok. It's just a cat sitting there, very fat cat. 1.2 million views. How
There
long?
isn't a big investment in watching. Let's put it that way, though.
Well, that's the point, right? You're sitting on your phone. You're waiting in line at the DMV. It's just another memes thing. I see kids doing this a lot, teenagers doing this a lot. They pass around memes. We're at dinner, and Michael and his friends, he's 16, are handing their phone around and looking at a meme and laughing. And they're not that funny. And I'm thinking, this is really degrading the human's experience. Instead of having a conversation, it's a meme-based conversation. It's very strange. I don't know. I don't want this to become
it's a new alphabet.
The olds talking about those crazy kids. So I'm sure this is great. It's a new.
Well, we're as old as our pictures, Leo.
Well, that's pretty damn old.
Yeah,
that's pretty. So, did you let your daughter do TikToks, knowing that her image is now being sent to China?
She doesn't want to do TikToks. She's not allowed, and she doesn't want to be actually online doing these things. So I don't have to worry about that for now. I'll be interested because she's going to a new school. Her old school had a no smartphone at all policy, and this new school does. And so we'll see. And all the parents who were in the class, we all got together and did a no smartphone kind of pledge. So we'll see.
My son makes a lot of memes, but he doesn't actually like to appear in them. He just likes to.
She makes lots of memes.
He likes to get copyright takedown notices, basically.
So does he use a meme generator, or does he do it by hand?
No, he just edits by hand.
By hand. And how about your daughter, Stacy?
She edits her own.
So, in a way, this is good. You're learning skills. You're learning comedy writing, pithy comedy writing. You're learning photoshopping.
Brevity.
Brevity. I mean, I think it's not. I mean, there's some skills in that. You'll be great at PowerPoint presentations.
Oh, goody. Yay, PowerPoint.
I mean, I spent from the age of probably 17 or 18 till now learning this medium. But this is I don't know if it's a dying medium. Thanks to podcasting, it's not. Hallelujah. But, that's what you do. You start young and you learn a new medium. Do you think in 20, 30 years, I'll just be looking at memes all the time?
They're nice. I mean, so people make fun of emojis, people make fun of GIFs, but I do think they're a really good, quick way to get an emotion or point across that's kind of fun. And I think we'll have the same sort of thing with TikTok or short form videos that are not GIFs. I mean, they're ways to share an emotion or a mood or how you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, emojis themselves are a new way of communicating, right? They're it's kind of nonverbal communication that a lot of young people are able to use quite adeptly to say a lot of things.
So I'm fascinated about the. I mentioned last week I'm reading this book about dictionary wars with Webster, who turns out to be a bit of a jerk.
Oh yeah.
I am so surprised.
Don't spell it that way. But the desire for a standardization. Right? Caxton, who was the first major printer in the UK, wanted to standardize the language. Webster wanted to standardize American as the language. Johnson, once you could with printing. Sorry, guys, Gutenberg moment. But now what the internet does is free us up again. Right?
Yeah,
creativity can come back into our alphabets and our expression.
I don't know if that's a great thing, because if you read 18th century manuscripts, it's crazy. Talk about non-standard. Shakespeare, he spelled his name 5 different ways. His own name. So I don't think standard. I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up in a world where spelling was standardized. Was it Webster who said, let's not use the British O-U-R?
Oh yeah, Webster had all kinds of. He was very controversial. He went for a lot of. He
took out the U in color because we should have an American way of spelling color. He wanted to take out all
kinds of other things.
And the Z and the S in organize and apologize. And
that's right. Yeah. Organize is spelled with a Z, actually.
But a lot of his things didn't last
in the UK.
Webster spellings.
Now we have somebody from Portsmouth in England in the studio. When you look at the bizarre American spellings of color and organized, do you think how illiterate these colonies are?
I'm a programmer, so I've adopted the American.
You have? by the way, there's another interesting story. Americanizations, because of coding, have become universal. In fact, there's also interesting misspellings that have become universal. In the HTML spec or HTTP spec, there's a referrer, right, which has been historically misspelled with one R, and I think it's one. Is it one R or one F? Yeah. Anyway, it's misspelled, but because that's how it's spelled, you have to spell it that way, and I think it's fascinating. I'm reading The book you recommended, Drexler's English. It's really
Dreyer's English.
Dreyer's English, wonderful. And
Isn't it good? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm listening on Audible. They have the great courses, and I'm listening to a course in the English language and how it's changed. And it's interesting. There's grammaticization, there's syntax change, and it's a very
pronunciation fights.
The word silly used to mean saintly. And so there's Dreyer's English, an utterly correct guide to clarity and style, which actually is it's actually very fun and loose. He's not one of those.
Is it sharp and funny, as per the little blurb?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes, it is.
And he uses...
And he believes in the Oxford comma. God bless him.
Yeah. He says there's no reason not to use the Oxford comma.
So he got rid of...
Or as he calls it, by the way, the serial comma. It is not the Oxford comma.
That's
his
true.
parlance. It's the serial comma.
He got rid of... Webster got rid of redundant letters like the E from Furor, the K from frolic and music, the U from ardor, endeavor, and terror. He wanted to get rid of he switched the RE to ER with meter,
theater,
scepter, theater. He switched the CE to a CE on expense, offense, pretense.
But what he's done now is he's given...
Where did he come down on whiskey?
Do not know that.
Uskaba. What he's done is given Americans the opportunity to be very pretentious and spell O-U-R.
Yes.
And theater. I know people who literally spell theater R-E. And
the theater.
The theater. I'm in the theater. And so really all he's done is given us the opportunity to act.
But it was at the moment, it was very much about breaking away from Britain culturally.
Yeah.
And trying to come up with your own language. So what I'm arguing is that the internet now has the opportunity for people to break away from the orthodoxy and do so not just with the letters we had, but with this whole new world of visual expression.
It will be very interesting to see how the language changes and the rate of change and how that's changed by the internet. I would imagine it would be significant, right?
Well, here, Stacey, here's a question for you. How much language is unique to her daughter and her age that you have to ask what it means, or you have to figure it out?
Oh boy.
Words, phrases, expressions.
But that's slang. That's happened all along.
That's slang.
Every generation
there's
has
also kind of a
slang.
secret language.
And do you use the word yeet?
So yeet, they make fun of you if you use the word yeet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said
So
on
yeet is
Fleet
not
the
a
other
thing.
day, and they said, oh, this is so 2016.
Yeah, so everything goes faster. I will say that I pick up just being on Twitter anything I need to know. So like I had one who was talking, she's like, oh, I low key something. And I was like, well, I high key, da 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 da. And she was like, oh my God, you are the coolest mom ever. And I was like, thank you, Twitter. The 12-year-olds think I'm on fleek. No. But it was like,
I use
Reddit. It was a
much
moment.
the same way.
Reddit's I use
Exactly.
Reddit that way. So linguists talk. This is a great, by the way, really good lecture. I'll see if I can find it before the end of the show. But he talks about how language changes: semantic bleaching, morphological reduction, phonetic erosion. This is from the Wikipedia. Obligatorification. That's when the use of linguistic structures becomes increasingly more obligatory in the process of grammaticalization. And actually, this Wikipedia article would be a great way if you wanted to know more about it. He talks about, in French, I don't know, are we getting really too obscure here? If I want to say he doesn't walk, I say il ne marche pas, right? That's right. And there's a double negative.
Never made any logic. Logically, I could never figure that out. But
well, it used to be in French. It used to be il ne marche. There was no pas.
Well, so where the heck did the pas come from? It makes no sense.
So I think this is fascinating. I apologize if you don't. I'll do this quick. Pas means step. And so, as you probably know, in English, we'll often say, oh, she wouldn't drink a drop. He wouldn't walk a step. As a emphatic way of saying, not only won't he walk, he won't even walk a step. Same thing in French. Il ne marche pas. He wouldn't walk a step. But what happened is pas became absorbed into the negative of the language, so that now pas is added to any negative. It was originally in a way of making more emphatic.
Just for that one verb? That's crazy.
It started with that one verb and it extended to all the rest. Because, yeah.
That is so
Well, and they
cool.
do, and
Isn't
they
that
do
cool?
like il ne fait rien.
Yeah. I won't do anything. Yeah.
Okay. Or he doesn't.
One of the
do
most
anything.
amazing things about
Yeah.
English that confuses the world is the meaningless do. How we add that verb into things for no reason
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
But
Do is a
without it-
great verb. Well, there were no prepositions originally. How did a word? If you think about it, when Adam named the things, everything had a name, but it was a thing. What's a preposition have to do with anything? What does do have to do with anything? What is a do?
What does it do? What are you talking about? The meaningless do?
Give us an
I'm trying to give an
example.
example of meaningless do.
Do you walk?
Crap. Karsten, help me.
Do you walk? Do you walk?
Yeah.
Instead of
Walk you?
Walk you? Do you walk?
The do doesn't really make any sense. It's not needed.
It's probably another.
If you go to Spanish,
Oh, okay.
there's no
I got
such
you.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, in French it's
I do the laundry.
marchez-vous.
Right.
It can replace
I
any
launder.
verb. Instead of I launder, I do the laundry.
You add
Right.
do to a
Well,
noun,
in French, though, they have fait, and they do
which is like do. Yeah.
which is kind of like do. And I imagine there's a Spanish anyway.
No, do in
Here's-
English is a special. Do
It's a
is
special.
weird thing.
Okay.
meaningless do is so here's where I got that from. Leo, if you like all this stuff, you'll like this book. Our Magnificent Bastard Tongue: The Untold History of English by John McWhorter.
I love linguistics. To me, it's
And this one
always
is really
fascinating,
good.
endlessly
It's
fascinating.
from a few years ago. I was just going through my Audible to find it. It's like one of the first books I listened to on Audible, and it's really good.
I will write it down. I enjoy these kinds of things. But we are moving to a less verbal world. I remember Trey Ratcliffe, the photographer, telling me, thanks to Instagram, he thought that the young people today were growing up with a much better visual vocabulary
Oh yeah,
than previous generations. I think you'd grant that that's probably true. And emojis, same thing. Apple and Google showing off new emojis. And it's interesting how emojis reflect cultural changes. So these new emojis are more inclusive. There's a prosthetic arm, a girl or a guy in a wheelchair. There's a seeing eye dog, a man with a cane. What's going
And a
on there?
sloth.
Why are you opening up there? He's opening up.
So
Oh, you got a new hat?
Thump, thump.
Is it an emoji hat? A
as
Unicode
my
hat?
hero,
Is that a Buttigieg hat? What is it? I don't know what it is.
McLuhan.
Oh, a McLuhan hat. So
So
wait a minute.
McLuhan hat.
Wait a minute. Matthew Ingram got a major award, and all you
Matthew's picture isn't on it?
all you got was that lousy hat.
Well, because here's when I was at the Media Ecology Association where Matthew got that award, I saw a guy with a Marshall McLuhan hat, and I was all jealous. And I said, "Ooh, how do I get that?" He said, "Well, actually, there's a high school in Toronto,
Named
Marshall McLuhan High School." So I got myself.
He's a rebel.
They're
The Marshall
the
McLuhan Rebels. That is the greatest T-shirt
Please,
ever.
Isn't that the best?
please tell
Isn't
me
that
where
the
to
best?
get that
I just
T-shirt.
got
I
it.
need
Oh
that
my
T-shirt
gosh,
so
the Marshall
much.
McLuhan Rebels.
Send me an
Rebels.
email with the information on how to get that T-shirt.
We are gonna.
Yeah, so I'm now
you know
just
what,
a
Karsten?
booster
It's
of
on
Marshall
me.
McLuhan High.
Just in fact, we're gonna get Marshall McLuhan Rebels T-shirts for everybody
I really need a Marshall McLuhan
at
Rebel
Twit. This will be
T-shirt.
our new Twit uniform.
So I didn't know what to do. So he was born in 1911. So I put an 11 on there, I think. But I should have put a 4 on there because he was all about tetrads and 4s. But you can put your own number on it.
Here's one. I
This
don't
is by
know.
Marshall
This might
McLuhan
be
hat.
a mixed message. Property of Marshall McLuhan Rebels. Might not be.
You found it quickly.
Yeah, not well. Hey, it's available in the Marshall McLuhan Catholic Secondary School. The Rebels. How about
For
this
some
one,
reason, they're just seeing all these fans they have.
Carson? You're going to want this one. It says, "Go fight, win." Marshall McLuhan. Now that's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt. Or maybe just
Is
something
that
a little
the
more
best?
understated.
Yeah.
That's
And they have
Very
hats, as you
happy
can
man.
see. You can do the hats. You can do lots of things.
wow.
Reasonably priced. I'm very proud of this.
And you chose 11 because why?
I think he was born in 1911. They said you wouldn't let you do it without a number.
You should have chosen
what number?
65.
What's
Oh,
the
shucks.
Gutenberg number? 14 something?
1450.
Oh, you could property Marshall McLuhan Rebels 1450.
I think it's only as if you're on the team. I think it only goes to 2 digits.
Here's 2019.
Oh.
Here's XXL. Or just, you know what? Do it in big, bold block letters.
Marshall McLuhan Rebels.
That is awesome. And what color should it be? They have many colors.
And then you can go to the
gray.
hats too. They have hats. They have other things as well.
That is so hysterical. I'm going to buy these.
Best?
Yeah.
Isn't it the best?
Yeah.
I forget the guy's name. I'm sorry, Toronto. Whoever it was, thank you for this.
What size are you, Karsten? Large?
I am large.
All right. Let's get John, you're large, right? 1X. Let's get 2 larges and 2 XLs. All right, I'm ready.
Wait, but not that design?
Yes.
You don't want the cooler? Okay.
That's pretty cool.
I like
right.
that design.
It's subtle.
Then
It's
get
understated.
that.
It's a gray T-shirt, so it's like an athletic T-shirt. In bright green letters at the top, it says Marshall McLuhan. Underneath it, in slightly bolder letters in blue, it says Rebels.
I like the possibility that it might say Marshall McLuhan Rebels.
Rebels.
Oh.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a perfect McLuhan joke.
Nice.
Oh.
Because the medium is the message, was the medium is the mess age, and the medium is massage.
He loved-
the medium is the mass age.
He loved
puns.
puns. He loved
Loved
puns.
them. So McLuhan, is a long path. McLuhan would say that we're passing from textual back to orality. We pass from orality
Yes.
to textual back to
Yes.
orality. And even though we're talking about images here, it's a form of orality. It's a form of conversation.
Really?
You gotta have
This is an issue I have because I think about the oral culture and then I think about text-based culture, and it feels like things like emojis feel more text-based. GIFs and Vines feel more, and I'm not. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Oh, I
probably
get
purely
it.
academic, but I'm like, where do we draw the line? Especially since it's all kind of flowing together.
To me, here's the difference, I think, Stacey, and this is why I agree with you, because I struggle with the same thing. Text-based means the current alphabet of 26. So emoji being the plural, emoji are a new alphabet.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean,
But then you
you've
go to
got other
memes.
alphabets.
Go ahead.
Well, you've got other alphabets. So is it
an
just
alphabet or a
your
lexicon?
phonetic?
Lexicon's
Alphabet?
better than an alphabet. It's not an alphabet because it's not a letter.
It's a lexicon.
Okay.
It's pictograms. It's pictograms.
Well, because I'm just thinking about like if I go into
spell words with
Sweden,
emojis.
they've got more letters. If I go to Russia, they've got completely different letters.
But they're
And
all
I'm
textual.
Yes, but the emoji are words, not letters.
okay.
Okay.
I can get behind that.
So it's a lexicon.
Well, yeah,
rather than
so that's why you're saying so you're arguing that lexicon is really a dictionary of
Yes.
words, vocabulary.
Yes, it's a
So
vocabulary.
thus emoji are a vocabulary.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Karsten. I knew I needed the Harvard brain in here.
Just trying to clear up things a little.
Meanwhile, Marshall McLuhan High School wants me to create an account.
Always.
So this is slowing me down just a slightest bit.
It's okay. We're nowhere near the show at this point.
Yeah, the show has
Yeah, I was like,
drifted way
should we-
off. I tried to
should
get
we
it
go
back
back to
online with
something?
emojis, but that didn't
Just
go well.
Pushed us even farther.
Pushed us even farther. Facebook, $5 billion fine. That sounds like a big fine. $5 billion with a B.
That's the largest fine ever.
FTC's
It's the largest
never
FTC fine
ever. And it's almost a quarter of their annual profits. There's only one little fly in the ointment. That as soon as this fine was announced, Facebook stock went up $6 billion. Meaning this fine make that smiling guy, Mark Zuckerberg, a little richer.
But they don't own all that stock, and they don't cash in all that stock.
No, but
so it's
Mark
still
owns
money.
a bit.
Yeah.
They don't cash it in. But it was a big jump in the stock price, which just shows that the stock
Get 'em off their
market.
back.
Here's the point: the stock market feels like, oh, this is good news. Yeah, get them off
Yes.
their back.
Of course, the stock market is constantly doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, doesn't mean anything. Okay, so I mean, look, if you said I'm going to take a quarter of your profits, I'd say, what do you think you are, the IRS? No, I would say that hurts, right?
Plus, when you have in Europe under GDPR, you can go up to 4% of
Right.
gross, And the problem is that if every country starts doing this, you end up getting to 100%.
Yeah. Good point. But nevertheless, a lot of people, including Nilay Patel, writing in The Verge, said this is a slap on the wrist.
You see that? But that's part of this.
Nilay's always so cranky, though.
That's why we like him.
Yeah, and it's the Damascene conversion. You know, the people who, oh no, suddenly tech's awful, so it's never bad. The punishment is never bad enough, right. And I'm tired of that because it's dangerous. Because here's what happened yesterday.
Let's talk about this.
This is
was it the Senate or the House?
Senate.
Okay.
It was Cruz.
That's right. And
Mazie Hirono.
Yep.
Mazie to my mind, the good side.
Google, Apple,
Ted on the bad side.
And who else were called to testify? Actually, this is a series of hearings. This particular hearing,
Amazon and Facebook.
Facebook, of course. This was a series of hearings, and this one particularly was focused on antitrust. And they said, how do we promote innovation in this country with tech being, so strong? So they also were speaking in the House, right? Was there another hearing in the House?
There were 4 separate hearings.
Okay, there were a lot of them.
Yes.
Okay,
there were many. Yeah.
Yeah. Turn off the room mic because it's a little echoey. All of the executives who testified in the House said we face competition at every turn, especially with WeChat and TikTok eating into our global market share. But they did the thing that Mark Zuckerberg did, which when asked questions he didn't know the answer to, he said, well, let me ask my team and I'll get back to you. It's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating, said freshman Representative Lucy McBath of Georgia, which definitely means we're asking the right kinds of questions and we recognize this is an ongoing issue. In the Senate, maybe it was a little different because it seemed like there were competing agendas, right, Jeff?
Yeah. So the right. So on the one hand, you have people going after the platform saying take down extremist content, and then with no sense of irony whatsoever, the right is complaining that that's censorship of them, which to me kind of admits that they are doing extremist content. But we'll leave that to the side. So now they're arguing that so Ted Cruz was going after them, had a presentation he'd gotten out of Google that he thought was damning, and so on. Mazie Hirono, who's the ranking member on the other side, so someone I haven't watched the testimony yet, but someone I know who I respect a lot who watched it said that she was doing a better job of defending Google than Google's guy was. But where you end up here pretty soon is you end up with the potential of the government basically trying to legislate forcing the platforms to run certain content. You have things like PragerU, who also testified, having gone from Trump's own little White House party for the extremists, they go over to Congress then. And so they're trying, you've got this pincer movement going on where from the left, it's you're too big, we're going to break you up. And and you got privacy. And then from the right, it's you're censoring us and you're not letting us speak because other people, the left, are saying get the bad speech down, but we don't think our speech is bad. And we're all going to attack you now. And what's going to suffer is the internet. And that's what worries me. That's what worries me greatly.
They also asked some good questions. In fact, I was very impressed by some of these people. Pramila Jayapal, who's a Democrat from Washington, asked the Amazon general counsel. She said, when people sell products on your site, do you track which products are the most successful? And then do you sometimes create a product to compete with that product? We've heard, of course, that Amazon does that. In fact, I think there's pretty good evidence that they do something like that.
Oh, sure. That's one of their virtuous cycle. But that's
Amazon. Well, Here's Amazon's response. We do not use individual seller data in order to compete with them.
Seller data.
Yeah. Okay. So Pramila Jayapal said, you do connect. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is David Cicciolini of Rhode Island. You do collect enormous data about what products are popular, what's selling, and where they're selling. You're saying you don't use that in any way to promote Amazon products? And I remind you, you're under oath. Sutton replied, we use data to serve our customers. We used, that sounds like a little weasel, right?
Yep. That's the squirming out of it.
Well, I will say this about that. We use data to serve our customers.
Depends on your definition of data.
Depends on your definition of serve.
Depends on your definition of customers.
I'll serve you right.
I mean, Amazon does think of the individual buyer. It doesn't think about society. It doesn't think about externalities, and it thinks about maximizing its profits by optimizing the buyer experience.
You might say that that's their job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is their mission. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
That's day one, blah, blah, blah. So it makes sense to say, hey, I'm going to look at data either in aggregate or what people are buying for them and show them that. And because we want to make money too, I'm going to use that and show them my stuff. And the consumer gets maybe the best price for this, which they want. They can find other stuff if they work harder. It's just a question of how far do we want to let those systemic advantages accrue to Amazon? And, you know, we live in a country where there are systemic advantages that have accrued over time to whole swaths of people. So having it happen to companies, it feels very much like something we don't know how to talk about and we don't know how to think about and regulate. So I think it's part of a macro challenge we have here, just in general.
Yeah. Fox News had a headline that would be, I would think, worthy of the Bulwer-Lytton contest. Google VP grilled in hearing over alleged bias against conservatives as slain reporter's father calls for regulation.
Sheesh.
Oh, I got a little whiplash on that one. Okay. Republican lawmakers on Tuesday criticized Google during the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing over allegations of bias and censorship of conservative groups in the tech giant's platforms. That actually wasn't what the hearing was about, but okay. Also during the hearing, the father of Virginia reporter Allison Parker, who was shot and killed in August while conducting an interview on live television, called on Congress to further regulate Google and other tech giants. The problem,
kitchen sink.
Yeah, the problem apparently is that the killer uploaded videos of the murder to YouTube, and of course he did. We all saw him, but I think YouTube probably pulled them down as quickly as it could. Ted Cruz, Google's control over what people hear, watch, read, and say is unprecedented. Google can and often does control our discourse. The American people are subject to overt censorship and covert manipulation by Google's algorithm.
Again, let's look at
Yeah, that's
on the one hand we have people screaming to take down hate speech and take down extremist speech and take down everything, and then we have them saying, when you take it down, you're hurting us. Now, note also, I went looking for coverage of this hearing, and according to Google, except for one, to my mind, badly done NPR story, every single bit of coverage was on far right media.
We covered
Fox
it.
and farther right.
I covered it yesterday on on Sunday,
but that's it.
But yeah, so partly because in a way, I feel like the media does it need to cover this? This seems like a dog and pony show. I don't.
It is, but we got to show what they're doing. They're trying to present a worldview here that's going to have a major impact, that is being believed by 40% of America. And, you know, this every time I'm on MSNBC, I beg them to start a feature called "We Watch Fox News So You Don't Have to." Because I think it's important to cover it as a political actor. I said somewhat smart-ass, but what I mean it in the sense that I don't know what they do cover. What does my father see? And I don't know what they don't cover. And, you know, I want to compare that then to what left media is doing, which is the media I watch, MSNBC. And we need to see the different worldviews people are getting. And we have a lot of talk about how there's bifurcation in social media, but there's much bigger, to my mind, in media. By the way, there's an excellent study I'm writing about. I'll talk about more next week. A researcher named Alex Bruns from Queensland, Australia, who I saw last week in Madrid, who did a study arguing that there's basically no such thing as filter bubbles and echo chambers, but those have become the working metaphors for all the discussion of where we are. And we're far too much taking assumptions and myths in this world where we're headed. So we've got to look also at the larger ecosystem of media and where media are in this. And we don't really see that. So this is a case where there was a hearing, there's a huge outcry, but only in one half of the media world. Half is even over it. But it's not at all in the other media world.
Yeah. Well, the other media world was worried about some other things going on over the weekend.
Yeah, true that.
A little more concerned about that.
And the first media world was trying to ignore what was going on in the other media world.
Yeah, it was just what's fascinating is if you watch, as I try to do, Fox for a while and then watch MSNBC for a while, it's almost as if they're reporting on different countries.
Oh, God.
It's really a disconnect. Meanwhile,
when the 4 congresswomen testified, I turned to Fox, and they went on about how this was Antifa, however you pronounce it, right? So it was a very different worldview, shall we say.
Meanwhile, today, Dave Marcus is testifying in front of the House Financial Services Committee about Facebook's cryptocurrency, Libra. And certainly members of Congress, there are members of Congress, and definitely President Trump and definitely Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, who think Facebook should halt development of Libra. Marcus, however, he was a little equivocal about agreeing to a moratorium. He said we're gonna take the time to get this right. We will not launch until we've fully addressed all concerns, but we're going ahead with it is pretty much the end.
Well, what did you expect him to say? You're right, guys.
Oh, thanks. Never mind. Yeah. And it's a form of prior restraint. You can regulate it anytime you want. You can stop, but see what it is first.
Yeah. Or pass a law now. You can do that.
Or
but you don't even know what it is.
Well, I think one of the concerns. Here's Maxine Waters. Facebook's proposed entry into financial services is all the more troubling because it has already harmed vast numbers of people on a scale similar to Wells Fargo and demonstrated a pattern of failing to keep consumer data private on a scale similar to Equifax.
I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous.
Facebook says it's going to be a Swiss consortium.
Show me that harm.
It'll be regulated by the Swiss, not the U.S. It's other companies, many other companies involved in this. There's also a concern about its use for money laundering. All cryptocurrency has that.
That's a legitimate
potential.
concern.
Yeah. So Maxine Waters did circulate a draft bill that would block it, legally barring all large tech platforms from providing financial services. Senator Brian Schatz, a Democrat from Hawaii, has circulated a similar bill in the Senate that would outlaw reserve-backed digital currency. Libra is reserve-backed. So maybe they will make a law. Maybe there ought to be a law. I don't know. I have to say there's serious concerns about this, legitimately.
There should be, if not federal oversight, at least some sort of auditability of the process that is conducted by a third party that isn't involved.
Yeah. Should Facebook, which already or Google or Amazon or Apple, I guess, because Apple's credit card is rumored to be coming out any day now. Should these companies be told in no uncertain words, you should not be in financial services. You got plenty of fish to fry. Let's not extend your monopoly into an entire new sector. I think that's reasonable. That's antitrust.
Not under American law. It's not. Not if they don't abuse it. They can go into things and
using your monopoly to enter new markets is exactly what antitrust law is about.
It's not a monopoly. Under legal definition, it's not a monopoly. It's a
that's
company.
true. We got that's true. We got to really understand what a monopoly is. Yeah.
Using the fact that you're very, very large is not the same as saying.
No, I know. It's a small company can use its clout to get into a new market. A medium and a large company can use its clout to get a new market.
Here's what
but
a
monopoly may not.
Here's the problem. The moral panic we have is aimed at a few specific companies. Instead, say, if you're concerned about currency, because Facebook's not the only one that's going to develop currencies, others are too. If you're concerned about them, then figure out what you want to do in regulation of the currencies and those activities, as opposed to saying, if Facebook does it, we hate it. That's not a sane regulatory regime.
I think that's a little disingenuous because Facebook has a history of pushing the envelope on privacy, data sharing. So it's not like this is an innocent or a neutral actor here. It is someone who has a bad history coming forth and saying, I'm gonna get into this. It's like if you knew the town drunk were going to, maybe their normal business is a newsstand operator, and now they're like, you know what? I'm gonna get into the rental car business or the chauffeuring business, or I'm gonna loan you money. You might be like, I don't know if you're the right company to do that.
I think we can agree there's cause for concern. It may not be a antitrust issue because of the definition of trust. Although one could say Google has pretty much of a monopoly on search.
We could
Again,
also
I put a story in the rundown that
market
argues there's new searches.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on. You could also see the market respond. So I don't think Portal is selling very well.
The Facebook Portal, their camera.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the reasons
sales on it on Prime Day.
Oh, really?
So
it was one of the big sellers on Prime Day.
I don't know if it sold well, but it was cheap as hell.
That is not a sign that it sold well. That is a sign it was not selling well. And by the way, as somebody who spent like $1,200 on 2 Facebook portals, I am not happy about that.
So it might be that the market makes a decision not to use Facebook's currency, and maybe what you need to look for is Facebook pushing it at the expense of other currencies or using its position to force people to use this particular currency. And that might be antitrust. It's very hard to say. I mean, we see this already with like ISPs, and they're like discounting, usage data caps, for certain things like, let's say AT&T, and saying, I think we'll do HBO Go.
It's sufficient. Your case is sufficient. Facebook is the town drunk, and they're trying to get in finance. And regardless of whether they're a monopoly or not, they probably shouldn't be running the banking sector.
So regulate the banking generically. Yes. The problem I have with these tax bills too, these tax laws in Europe, we're going to go after one company. That's prima facie not fair. You have a tax bill that gives equal treatment to companies. You have a banking regulation that is equal, which is just smarter regulation too, because who knows, along could come TikTok and decide it wants to be a bank.
Yes, and that should be prevented too.
So regulate banking as a generic activity, fine.
Okay.
However, I think what's really happening here is a challenge to government and nations. Wars are fought without weapons and armies. They're fought with data and kids in Moldavia. And currencies are going to have been started by entities other than governments. There's a larger challenge to government here, and I'm not sure the government's going to win in some of these wars, whether it's Facebook or anybody else.
Well, yeah,
that's a fair point, but that is kind of a different point.
They may not win, but I think it is their battle to take. It is definitely their battle to take.
But I'm saying then go about it wisely. Don't go about it emotionally. I was in Madrid last week, and I had a panel of people questioning me, and one of them was, "Well, what about breaking them up?" And I said, "That's emotional. Tell me why. It's pure emotion." And a lot of this discussion is emotional, and that's what's dangerous. Deal with evidence.
There is a case to be made that these companies, as they get bigger and bigger and put more of their fingers in more pies and gather more data about us, become more and more difficult to disentangle from the American economy. So maybe not breaking them up. Here's a proposal from Robert Epstein. I'm sure you hate this too. This is in Bloomberg Business Week. To break Google's monopoly on search, don't dismantle it. Make its index public. Give other companies access to the Google index. You could have an API. In fact, they do have an API. They just don't let anybody use it. So then other search engines with other approaches could emerge that would provide some competition. What about that idea?
Again, it's a specific attack on a specific company's specific function.
But there's no other company in this realm.
Well, let's go to that other story. There are others. There is Bing.
Oh, come on,
Bing is a credible, as terms of functionality, it's credible.
5% of the market.
Well, because the market can speak. So what's to say that people prefer Google?
Here's what Epstein says. There's precedent for this both in law and Google's business practices. When private ownership of essential resources and services, water, electricity, telecommunications, and so on, no longer serves the public interest, governments often step in to control them. The 1956 consent decree, AT&T, the U.S. forced, this is before the breakup, AT&T to share its patents with other companies free of charge.
AT&T was a monopoly. Let's be clear about that.
Oh, come on. Google, I don't care what straw-drog search engines you pull up. Google completely dominates in search.
But search is now so unimportant compared to the other things that go on. That's the other thing.
I would say for most people,
Microsoft
Google is the internet.
browser.
That's why the right to be forgotten text Google, because if it's not in Google's index, nobody's going to see that page. Google is the internet.
Don't listen to me. Go to line 30 in the rundown. You have the BBC with an accent.
Google search isn't everything. It's just almost anything. This is Mark Ward, technology correspondent, writing.
Just simply arguing that this function that we thought was all-encompassing does happen in a lot of other ways. We get our
but Google is getting their hands into all of this as well. They have their home and voice, and they use lots of their data that they gather to make it better. And
I, for one, welcome my new master.
This is not a compelling. I mean, it's an opinion piece. It's not a reportage.
Oh no, that's emotion. That's not facts and data.
And honestly, it doesn't provide me with. It just says, somebody else could come along.
As has happened in the past, Microsoft was going to take over the world. Microsoft was the big evil. There was no beating Microsoft ever. WhatsApp.
I don't see.
There was a story in The
Google
Guardian from 2009. Somebody put it from a decade ago. No one's ever going to, honest to God, Guardian. No one's ever going to unseat WhatsApp. Oh, not WhatsApp. MySpace. MySpace.
Yeah. Well, that was a different time. MySpace had 25 million users. I mean, Google is so dominant. The Google Index, the crown jewel of Google, has been so long cultivated that it's hard to imagine another company coming. We talk a lot about DuckDuckGo as
That's
an
not what the
alternative.
value is. The index is not the value. The index, fine. So we save you the effort and expense of scraping the web. Fine, that's considerable, but that's not where the brilliance of Google is.
Well, good. Then you don't mind if we open it up.
And so we're going to end up with another crappy web search. Okay,
no, it won't be crappy. It'll be,
no.
I'll telegraph my pick of the week because I learned from this article that Google does offer one and only one company in the world full access to the API. It's a company called StartPage. And Google does not get information back from StartPage. The Google search, if I search for Jeff Jarvis, this will be the equivalent result of an incognito search using Google because it is the API. It is the Google, but notice anonymous view. Google lets them do this. According to this article, I'm not sure I buy this. Google allows this kind of sharing with a chosen few, most notably a small but ingenious company called StartPage in the Netherlands. In 2009, Google granted StartPage access to its index in return for fees generated by ads placed near the StartPage search results. I actually don't see any ads. What I don't see,
for me,
what I don't see, and I love, is the YouTube slideshow, the Google AMP slideshow. There's a Wikipedia link, which is great. So there is a knowledge bar. You can make this your default search engine. It is my default search engine in Firefox. I think it gives me. Would you agree these are good search results for your name, Jeff?
Yeah, and Google deciding to do this, I have no objection to whatsoever.
Bravo,
but
Google. Government
mandating it because they happen to have a Jones about Google particularly, I find troubling as precedent.
I'd kind of like to see them mandate it because then we could see other companies like StartPage.
Under what legal doctrine?
I worry that StartPage at any point. What legal doctrine? I just gave you water, electricity.
Get back. It's not a monopoly. Where it is a monopoly, Leo, where it is close to a monopoly,
this does not require it, by the way,
it's advertising.
This does not require it to be a monopoly. It's merely saying it's in the national. There's no law. You make the law. It's in the national interest that it's a little socialistic.
Under what there has to be some legal doctrine in place.
Well, it
to say
exists.
that you're doing this for a reason.
It exists. Your water company
we
is
just
not
don't
a
like a company is a really bad.
Your water company is not a private company. It is run by.
Oh, don't give me the utility thing. That's so. You know why? Because that leads straight into the White House and Ted Cruz saying we're now going to force you to publish things you don't want to publish because
you don't think Google is an internet utility?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think it
and
is.
if we ever get there,
thing to utility
watch out to what the Donald Trumps do to it. Watch out to what others in other countries do.
Well, I think that's a straw dog. I think we could fight that battle when that time comes. I don't think it's at all unreasonable to say.
We're there yesterday in the Senate Judiciary Committee.
The challenge always with regulation is it's going to come from the parties in charge. And presumably we used to have, and I'm not being trite when I say we used to have a Congress that worked, but we used to actually have people coming from both sides to create reasonable legislation.
Section 230 came that way, right.
But I will say, to say that we should not regulate something because we are afraid of what the party in charge will do is just giving up and saying our democracy is clearly broken and we should just give up now. So we either have to say, okay, it's broken. I hope we can get a fix, and I hope our government can step in when we need it to regulate problematic industries, or we just say, okay, I'm moving to pick your country.
Well, I just think throwing up your hands and saying, it's impossible to regulate these guys, so let's just let them go and see what happens.
I'm not saying that. I have put forward regulatory regimes that I do believe in, that I believe are more flexible, that I believe are more negotiable, that are based on principle, that are not based on momentary hatred or moral panic. So I'm not saying
let's do that then, but let's do something.
Let's talk about something else, y'all. Y'all are yelling so much today.
Oh man, we're overriding the Botox. How about the baby named after Google? That'll cheer you up.
And nice. What did nice Google do, Leo? Tell the world what nice Google did.
A baby boy in Indonesia, given the name Google, got a goodie bag from Google after the story of his name went viral. Ella Karina, the mother of the baby, did not want to list every item given to her son, but there are a few items. Google Indonesia sent the items, including a baby jumper branded with the company's logo. Aw. At first, Karina said she didn't agree with her husband's idea to name the son after the company, but she became more accepting of the notion after the positive responses they received.
We'll get free stuff.
Little baby Google. Little baby Google. Aw.
That kid's going to have such a nightmare life just because of things like, hey, Google.
I don't know. Maybe in Indonesian, Google means something good. Maybe it means chocolate cake.
I think it's actually a fun name.
Google.
It's not. Right? Yeah, it's not a terrible
name.
It's
a great baby name. Every
no one's
baby
naming
can
their
say
kids
it.
Alexa anymore.
So let's play a game here. What tech brands would be okay as names without associations? Bing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bing Crosby. Yeah.
Uber.
Chandler Bing.
Hey,
Uber.
Uber.
Deutschland Uber alles.
A little tough there.
No.
Microsoft. No.
That poor kid. No. If it's a boy, bad. There is a kid named Facebook after the Arab Spring.
That's not a great name.
Yeah, I wonder if I think it was a kid in Egypt who was named Facebook because his father.
Twitter.
Come Twitter. Here. Twitter's a good name.
Twitter's a good name. Twitter's a good name. Twitter.
By the way,
I like that.
While we're on the subject,
we're trying to lighten things up.
Do you have the new Twitter look? Do you like it?
I've had it for a while. I like it, but mine's in dark mode, so Jeff would hate it. I know. I'm sorry.
So I keep checking to see.
I don't know why. I honestly don't know why I have such a visceral reaction against dark mode, but I do. It's earnest.
It is different. And so I had a hard time with it for the first probably 3 days. And I was like, but I forced myself to
do it.
Because it's easy on the eyes.
Because I forced myself to like embrace something for a week or so. And then I'm like, yeah, it's still not me. Or, oh, okay.
Join us on
and it is easier.
Dark mode. Come to us.
Oh, I'm going to sneeze.
Sneeze to us. All right, I'm going to log into Twitter. I've been checking. Lisa got it. It's slowly rolling out this week.
Zoom tight, Stacey.
And Lisa got
Thank
it,
you.
but yes, bless you. But I don't know if I've got it yet. I just hope Twitter doesn't destroy TweetDeck, because as far as I'm concerned,
That's the way to
Oh,
use
that's
Twitter.
the only way to use Twitter. Nope, I don't have it yet. I still have a whole
What
new
is-
Twitter is coming.
What does that look like?
TweetDeck?
Oh, no, I know what TweetDeck looks like. Okay, that's...
Do you
okay.
have it,
That's
Karsten, on
old
that
Twitter.
machine?
How soon you forget.
Can
Yeah.
you see the new Twitter?
I do. I've forgotten all about old Twitter.
So everything's on the left now, right? And then they put lists over there, which is nice. I'm glad they brought lists back.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do keep... Well, I think they were already switching your
I've still
timeline,
got
too.
Old Twitter.
You know what they didn't do? I don't know if they should have. Remember, Twitter is now putting, when a major political figure, somebody with over 100,000 followers, says something that violates the rules.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen it yet. Some
And
people
I looked
thought
on
that
the particular
Donald
tweet
Trump's go back to
Yeah.
home where you came from, to the U.S. citizens, members of the House of Representatives, that maybe deserved that thing, but they didn't
Yeah,
do
but
it
I go
to
back to what happened on Capitol Hill just yesterday, where the right wing is screaming that they're
So
being
Twitter's being
put upon.
sensitive. Twitter's saying, well, we better not
scared.
do that. Yeah. You think that's prudent?
Well, that's interesting. At one point, is it the moral obligation of a company to do things like that? At what point do you understand and say,
Well, if you're going to make a rule, you're going to have to do
powerless.
it. I don't know. I don't care. It's Twitter.
Yeah.
Who cares? Here's the New York Times. I don't know if I agree with this. This is another VidCon story. The New York Times, Kevin Roos, who I like a lot and is a very smart tech reporter, don't scoff at the influencers. They're taking over the world. He says that all these TikTokers and YouTubers, they're going to be in charge. They're going to be in charge, which I don't know, maybe... He says, well, first of all, being an influencer is a tough job. These people are essentially one-person startups. The best of them can spot trends, experiment relentlessly with new platforms and formats, build an authentic connection with an audience, pay close attention to their channel analytics, figure out how to distinguish themselves in a crowded media environment, all while churning out a constant stream of new content. What better qualifications for President of the United States, I ask you? He says these social media guys, he says, just look at AOC. Basically, she is the opening wedge of young, social media aware, literate people. Influencer culture, he writes, is already an established force. A generation of direct-to-consumer brands were built using the tools and tactics of social media, like Glossier, the influence-beloved beauty company that raised $100 million at $1 billion valuation, or Away, the luggage startup whose ubiquitous Instagram ads helped it reach a valuation of $1.4 billion, by the way.
Jesus,
Podcast.
really?
We did podcast ads for Away too, but I don't know if we helped.
I know. I had them on. I had them on one of my podcasts.
Yeah.
Very early days.
Yep. Natalie Alzade, you may know her as Natalie's Outlet, 10 million subscribers on YouTube. A wave of influencers who treated their online brand building as a business rather than a fun hobby.
So what if instead... Okay. Well, no. Okay. That kills that point. Never mind. Go back. Keep going.
Well, so for instance, 4 years ago, she came to VidCon, but she was a marketing student, had less than 7,000 subscribers. She decided to study her favorite YouTubers, figure out what made it work, tested videos in multiple genres. She said she was watching people like Michelle Phan that were building legacies out of honestly just being really relatable online. I don't know. It was always an
Which
aspiration.
media companies just simply can't learn the value of relationships,
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was going to say, what if this is about sincerity? So maybe I should say, what if it's about sincerity and gaming the algorithms? But like,
You do have to wonder why Brian Williams is still on MSNBC after all this time. I mean, honest to God, this guy is not a network anchor. He's terrible. Never.
How did you get from Fawn to Williams?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying mainstream media does seem to have missed the point that integrity and relatability and authenticness are important.
Yeah, they think that I sat in meetings at NBC, and this is before the controversy with him, and they were all built around Brian. This is their view of the relationship is a celebrity, And they don't understand that Michelle Phan and
bigger
and
they're huge.
The Green Brothers and name them have an entirely different relationship.
I think we get fooled. I get fooled too. I'm a mainstream media guy. We get fooled by the Logans of the world and think, oh God, that stuff on YouTube, that's crap. That's terrible content. I don't know why. It's just the kids. They'll grow out of it. I think that's the big phrase that they use in the 30 Rock every day. They'll grow out of it. And then they'll come watch Brian Williams.
They'll read newspapers. This is why I love VidCon. This is exactly why I so love VidCon, is because it forces you, and I tell every media person I meet, and every TV person especially I meet, they don't listen to me, to go to VidCon, because you will see an entirely different relationship.
And can't we really say that that Donald Trump got elected president to a great deal because he did that? He knew exactly how to reach out and build his platform. No?
Nope, I disagree. What he did is he used that platform to manipulate dumb old big media.
Oh, that's true. They were complicit.
And that's the secret to what he did. He didn't really build the relationship. He built the relationship in the rallies.
I think he did.
The relationship was a screaming relationship.
He has an amazing relationship with his base. As he said himself, he literally could go out on Fifth Avenue, shoot somebody, and his base would go, "Yay, Donald." Yeah. It doesn't matter what he does. That is an example of an incredible relationship with that 30% of the American population.
But all he does is shout back to them what they want to hear.
Well, it works.
Which is a little different from listening.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it works.
Yeah, but I think it's a different analysis.
It's populism. But you know what? We've always had populism. And by the way, Kevin Roos points out, we've always had this with talk show hosts and movie stars and Davos attendees. I don't know why he's throwing that in. Maybe a shot at you, Jeff. I don't know. But we have always had this. Populism, you go back to Huey Long. Huey Long spoke to his people, right?
Savonarola.
Yeah, if you want to go a little farther back. The Mad Priest, Savonarola. Yes, breaking news.
Bloomberg reporting that Trump now is talking about intervening in the DoD cloud contract with Amazon or Microsoft.
Oh, yeah, he's real upset about that.
He doesn't want them to award the...
He doesn't want Jeff Bezos.
This is the Jedi contract, I think, the $10 billion Jedi contract.
I put it up there on the rundown.
He's also saying we should investigate Google's relationship to China.
Because Peter Thiel said Google should be investigated for as a traitor.
Did you see Dan Primack? Do you get his newsletter subscription, the Axios one?
Tell me.
Where he was like, Peter, are you sure you're not a vampire? Can you deny that you are a vampire? And it was just
very hard to prove the negative.
Salty.
Questions.
Excellent.
Questions for Peter Thiel after his accusations. So a few questions, Mr. Thiel. Have you shorted Google stock? By the way, Thiel, as one of the big investors and founders of Palantir, is Palantir currently competing with Google for a major U.S. government contract?
Oh, so good.
You've said on the record you're not a vampire. Are you able to provide independent verification of this claim? Because were you a vampire, it would pose a national security risk. Is it because you're actually a vampire that you deny being a vampire? And would that not be seemingly treasonous? In the generally accepted societal punishment is death, albeit by wooden stake in this case.
Watch out, Axios is going to get put out of business.
Yeah. You know, the only reason I don't fear so much is because the Donald says a lot of things and does very few of them. So, admittedly, he's the leader of the free world.
But others do things on his behalf, including his cabinet members, like rolling back certain EPA restrictions, among other things.
But I honestly think that that's the real agenda. That the stuff, all the noise at the top is to distract you from the real agenda, which is getting done very effectively by appointing judges, by removing restrictions and regulations. That doesn't get the headlines because the Donald's getting all the attention. So over here, look at this. I think let's investigate Google. Meanwhile, we don't need any emissions restrictions. Those are silly. That's my personal view of it all. Twitch.
I'm going to apologize right now for eating.
Please, one must keep one's blood sugar at a reasonable level.
So this is before you were on the pre-talk, Stacey. I wonder, have you bought the how much is it here? $275 toaster?
No, because I have the
She's got the June oven. Hers costs even more.
But this is particular for toast.
It only makes one slice at a time because that's better.
Does it have a bidet?
Does it have a bidet?
It washes your butt and makes toast.
I will say my toast does taste better in the June oven, so I can imagine a dedicated novel toaster being.
This is from Mitsubishi Electric. Look at it. Let's watch the video. I'm gonna show you the video here. Yeah.
That's not it.
That's Texas toast.
The other is from Mitsubishi's.
That's what they sell in Japan a lot.
Texas toast is good. Okay, I'm going to skip the taste test.
On the outside.
Yeah, all right, shut up. This is what it looks like. It looks like a grilled cheese maker.
It does look like a grilled cheese maker.
Yeah, because you put the lid down. This is he says it costs so much because it's a completely new structure. You put butter on the thing. It really is a grill. This is, you know what? If I were George Foreman, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a George Foreman.
It's a George Foreman grill. It's a freaking $270 George Foreman grill. Okay?
I love it.
No, I wouldn't buy that. I did just buy something really cool, and I can't wait to tell you guys about it in a week when it arrives.
Is it the Whirlpool trash composter?
No, but does that automatically tell me which goes where? Also, I am composting now, and I hate it.
No,
and
that's why you need this
to solve that problem.
You need the new Zira food recycler. They're putting it on Indiegogo.
Yes. I've wanted that since it was announced at like CES forever ago.
Yeah, well,
it's coming up. Go back up. That date line is 2017.
Okay, but it is now on Indiegogo. Let me find it here.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait.
You're right.
Whirlpool?
They announced it 2 years ago.
Indiegogo?
Well, it's Whirlpool's like.
Yeah, GE does stuff on Indiegogo too.
It's that GE thing. That's right. It's
W Labs they call it. It's Whirlpool's kind of.
What are you eating, Stacey?
Think tank.
It's like cheesecake.
Okay, but when you're done with it,
okay.
Here's what you do.
Flavor? What flavor?
Here's what you do.
Cherry.
You can buy
cherry.
it. You can buy it now, by the way. So let me just show you how it works. It's only $1,199. That doesn't include the pods that you have to buy.
You end up with dirt.
Yeah. So what it is, it's a little thing that sits next to your counter. Yeah, it's a big thing. It's bigger than your trash can. You put anything in there, food, scraps, everything, meat, potatoes, milk, doesn't matter. Put all your scraps in there. Now, wait a minute. I got to point out that while your scraps are in there and rotting, it's in your kitchen. So they do have a special filter system to try to get rid of the odors, but I wonder.
So that's...
Okay, but wait a minute. Now it's going to take 3.5 kilograms, 7 pounds of food stuff, churn it up, and then when it's done, look, you get this beautiful mulch you can feed your microgreens with.
Why is it not using the heat generated by this to
well, because it's doing it in 20. It does it in 24 hours, so you're not really and you have to buy a special pod that you put in. They show it briefly, but they don't really emphasize it.
Oh, it has worms in it? Is that?
No, I wish.
I've done under the sink.
Worms are slow.
Composting with worms.
No, the pod has chemicals in it.
Oh, well, that seems...
And it speeds up the process.
That seems like a recurring busince model, but that's about it.
This is the this is the Juicero of composting. So you need the Zira filter because it stinks because it's rotting food in your kitchen. And then you also need, and I'm just assuming, and maybe it doesn't. And then you also need, for $13.99, the Zira additive. It's made from something called coir, C-O-I-R, and baking soda. Coir is...
coir is like hemp or rope.
Yeah, coconut. It's made from coconut husk. The Zira additive pack is made from paper design, so the entire additive, including the packaging, can be placed in the device. You get... Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? It's $14 for 4 of them, so it's only a few bucks a week. However, the Zira Food Recycler team has been notified. A number of fraudulent retail websites have been targeting consumers across social media platforms. Please make sure you get the genuine Zero Food Recycler is part of the W Labs Indiegogo pre-order campaign at wlabsinnovations.com. Sorry,
So
I don't know why Siri decided to make a note of that.
false positive. I would say, what was I going to say? Oh, I have a composter. I went with the OXO composter, but the popular compost design for those counter things, it does include a charcoal filter for the smell, because they do smell gross.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I got a lot of stuff. By the way, they also have a smart oven, which looks a lot like a June.
Oh, Mitsubishi?
No, it's W Labs, which is Westinghouse.
Whirlpool's. Oh,
Whirlpool,
yeah.
I mean, rather.
They launched that at CES this last year.
Yeah, smart oven, huh? Wonder what their smart oven costs. Oh,
it has an integration with
$7.99.
Yumli.
With what? Yumli? Oh, I love Yumli.
Did they buy Yumli? I think they bought Yumli.
Wow, Whirlpool's got some money, honey.
Oh, you know what? Do any of you have a Joule cooker? The Joule sous vide machine?
No.
No? Well, Breville, which actually does make a incredible
Breville.
smart oven.
Breville's great.
They purchased Chef Steps, the company behind the Joule.
Oh.
And they purchased the assets, which means it was a fire sale.
Oh.
So
Joule was not a...
I feel like I have a Joule on order. I feel like
you do.
I feel like I ordered that a couple of years ago. Oh, that's not good.
I was like, I have a Joule, but...
Oh well.
So Joule's kind of the wave of food.
Let's get back on track.
Oh, yeah. No more cooking.
Sorry.
Let's talk about something really important. Prime Day surpassed Black Friday and Cyber Monday combined. The biggest shopping event in history. How many workers walked out? And did it impact this? Because that was going to be the big boycott, right? I intentionally did not buy anything on Amazon to show support for the walkout.
I didn't buy anything on Amazon because I just didn't need anything.
So the big sellers in the U.S.
Page after page and couldn't find much.
Yeah, it's weird. Look at the big sellers. It was the Life Straw personal water filter.
That was everywhere. That was like...
They pushed this like crazy. This is the thing I really yelled at Chad Johnson for using, right, on the GizWiz. They brought in some scummy swamp water, and he drank it. And I said, if you died, I'd be responsible. Please don't do that. What do you think you are, a YouTube star?
Did he die?
No, he didn't.
See?
Did he get sick?
Go eat Tide Pods on your time, Chad Johnson. No, but I was worried, like we're liable if our employee decides to drink swamp water through the Life Straw and he gets sick. But he didn't. It makes disgusting water drinkable.
Potable, but maybe not.
There's a bit of a privilege thing here. Why don't we buy those to send to countries where they can't get drinkable water?
Yeah. Well, it was used in Haiti after the earthquake Rwanda in 2015, and apparently can be commonly found in the rucksacks of many a member of the U.S. military. It's the kind of thing, I'll tell you why it sold well. It was $10, and it's the kind of thing you thought, well, I'm not going to drink any bad water, but if I ever had to, it'd be really good that I had the straw.
That's good to have in your go bag.
You put it in your go bag. I guarantee you that's what.
Right.
I have a little light, a Sterilite, that's for sterilizing water so you can drink it. I've never used it, but I got it. Number 2, the Instapot. It will never die.
Man, who doesn't have an Instapot? This is what's so confusing to me.
300.
I still have not bought one because no one has convinced me why I need
You don't need an Instapot.
Yep,
You
my
don't
wife
need it.
doesn't want
I
one.
don't love mine, but
300,000
I still don't understand who doesn't have
Instapots.
it.
Oh, actually, wait a minute. I take it back. That was last year. They probably sold more this year. And then weirdly, I guess because they were 50% off, the number 3 seller, 23andMe and Ancestry DNA kits.
Yep. So I found, did I tell you my story about this?
Mm-mm.
This is, so my grandfather was illegitimate. And in West Virginia, back in the holler, he was raised by his grandmother as if his grandmother were his mother to the town. And his mother was by all appearances, his sister.
But now
And the
he
years
took
later
the
we find out.
black and he's fighting on the wall.
So
No.
I don't know who. My name probably isn't Jarvis,
What?
given genealogy, right? So the kids were visiting my father. We went crazy on genealogy because 23andMe came to me and said, you have a second cousin who shares grandparents, who's from the town where
Appalachia.
the guy knocked up my great grandmother was from, Buffalo, New York.
And what was his last name?
My mom's from Buffalo.
I forget right now. Cousin, my long lost cousin.
His last name was Higginbotham.
Related to me.
That would be the best punchline ever. And his last name was Higginbotham.
That's not my mom's last name.
I know.
What's your mom's?
Such a good punchline.
Well, am I violating your security?
Don't say your mother's maiden name.
My security. Because yes, they still ask that question. I always yell at them when they do.
And that man's name was Higginbotham. Let's. I want to just take a real quick break with our sponsor, and then we will get back to more. We'll do some fun stuff.
We could talk about Google.
I think we have. We could talk about.
Did we talk about
the people who are leaving Google? All the people who.
I just saw that story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meanwhile, our show today brought to you by Worldwide Technology, WWT. I think a lot of you, especially if you're in enterprise, know about WWT. But do you know about their Advanced Technology Center? This thing is amazing. They started building about 10 years ago because they realized when you're selling enterprise technologies, it's never just in a vacuum. It has to integrate with a variety of other technologies. You need to test it. They really wanted to bring down the time from, figuring out what you want to buy to getting it in place. The ATC does that. Now $500 million of equipment in this amazing lab from hundreds of OEMs. I mean, all the biggies, Cisco, NetApp, VMware, but not just the biggies. They've got disruptors too, like Tanium and Equinix and Expanse. WWT is a trusted partner when it comes time for you to expand your portfolio, to add to your security, to move to the cloud. WWT is there for you and will be there with you over the years. Many of their customers have been there for years, for over a decade. They know WWT is where they can go to get the answers they need to make sure their business runs right. So much information, so many tools, such smart people. In fact, the WWT engineers work in these labs every day themselves, beta testing new equipment, building reference architectures, helping clients in business, in government, set up custom integrations so that you can make decisions, you can see the results, and frankly, with less investment on your part. They've already made the investment. What's cool about the Advanced Technology Center, it's an incubator for IT innovation, and you can use it. You can use it. Hundreds of on-demand integrated solutions labs representing the newest advances in things, everything from flash storage to software-defined networking, network automation, endpoint security architecture, stuff that you're looking at right now that you're trying to solve, and you shouldn't try to do it on your own. WWT and the Advanced Technology Center is there to help you. You can learn about products before you launch them. You can do exactly what the engineers do, spin up proofs of concept and pilots using their built-in sandbox so you can select the right solution for you with confidence. And they're there, their engineers are there to help you. Reduce concept time from months to weeks. That increases the speed to market. They call it lab as a service. I love this idea. It is within the ATC, a dedicated lab space you can use to perform programmatic testing using any of this $500 million worth of gear, this vast technology ecosystem. And it's virtual, so you can use it. You don't have to go to St. Louis. You can use it anywhere you are 24/7. Later this summer, WWT is going to launch a new digital platform which will give you hands-on access to more than 200 lab environments. This is going to be even better. And if you want early access to that, you can go right now to wwt.com/twit and sign up for pre-launch access. WWT, Worldwide Technology, simplifies the complex. So remember that, wwt.com/twit. I know people are, as I've been talking about this over the last few weeks, are very excited about this. This is what we need. Used to be something that, back in the days of PC Magazine and the great tech magazines, I remember they had a great lab in Foster City. This kind of thing they used to do. No one can afford to do this anymore. WWT can. $500 million worth of gear. And a lot of that's thanks to their great OEM partners like NetApp. WWT, delivering business and technology outcomes around the world. WWT.com/twit. Thank you, WWT, for your support. We're already talking about going out and visiting that lab next year. I want to see it. WWT.com/twit. So, what was it that we were going to talk about? I forgot. Google, the workers, women, mostly women, yes. Right? Or are they all women who started the walkout? Most of them have now left.
Most is a bit strong. 4 out of 7.
Well, that's more than half.
That is most.
True, it's most. It's more than half.
It's technically accurate.
Technically most.
The most notable, of course, is Meredith Whittaker. She was, she was not a run-of-the-mill employee. She ran Google's open research.
Erica Anderson, who was a great person at Google News Lab, left.
Whittaker, you may remember a couple of months ago, claimed that Google had retaliated her. She was working on AI ethics through AI Now, a research institute she co-founded that has received funding from Google. She'd already been told that her AI ethics work was no longer a fit for the cloud division. She wrote in a farewell note posted last week on Medium, "It's clear Google isn't a place where I can continue this work." She left, but she did, on her way out, urge employees to unionize, protect whistleblowers, and insist on transparency around the technology they're building and how it will be used. There's so many companies where the workers don't have that power, but in a company like Google where your line workers are PhDs, are very valuable engineers and developers, not easy to replace. Rightly so, I think they have a voice in the work that they're doing. She had been at Google 13 years. So I think that's significant. I don't know. I have no inside knowledge. I don't know. Google says she was told she could continue working on AI ethics in her personal time, but her official role at the company was open source work.
So did you ever read the story about how Google doesn't fire anyone? They just shuns them off to irrelevancy.
I saw it on Silicon Valley, the TV show.
Well, there is that, but there was an article.
Google would take a guy who they didn't want anymore but couldn't fire, and they just sent him to the roof where he could just sit around all day. and he got up there, and there were a bunch of people on the roof said, "Yeah, we'd collect our paychecks and we enjoy the free food."
There was a story about that is that.
Apparently, they do it in Japan. It's common in Japan.
It was about people with stock options waiting for them to vest, I think.
Yeah. Sure, because you're not going to leave.
Either way.
If you've got 3 more years to vest that valuable stock options, you're never going to quit.
I'll go make compost for you, yeah.
And in California, at least, and I bet you this is the case in general, but in California, at least, it's hard to fire an employee.
Oh, in Texas, it's very easy.
Actually, wait a minute. California is an at-will state, so maybe it isn't so hard. I don't know. I find it difficult.
Okay.
Maybe Larry just doesn't have the, I can't fire him.
He has people who do that for him.
Here's Google's statement to Wired. Meredith Whittaker has decided to resign in Google's open source program management team. Since 2016, Meredith spent most of her time on work for NYU's AI Now Institute, and will leave the company to focus on this work. Google will continue to work with policymakers, academics, the tech community, and other leaders from across industries as we tackle these important issues, in addition to providing transparency into how we're putting our AI principles into action. It kind of misses the point, I think, but her last day at Google was Monday. Celia O'Neill Hart, the former global head of trust and transparency marketing at YouTube Ads, left to go to Pinterest. Claire Stapleton, a former marketing manager at YouTube, left in June. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, if they're not happy, they should go back where they came from. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Ooh, where is the boxing glove when you need it, huh, Stacey?
Wow,
we could both do it.
No, but truthfully, if you're not happy at a company, you should leave.
But what if you had been happy until you spoke out and the company made you so miserable that now you had no other option?
That's different, yeah.
Which might be happening here.
Google says that it did investigate the retaliation claims from Stapleton and Whitaker, found no evidence of retaliation. Erica Anderson, former head of news ecosystem for Google News Lab, left in January to join Vox Media. Only 3 organizers employed at Google just 8 months after the protest. The remaining organizers declined to comment or did not respond. So of the, what was it, 7? Only 3 are left. That's more than half. I don't know. This feels like an employment dispute. I don't know if I can weigh in on this. I'll let you do that.
Because why?
Because I don't have anything to say.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't understand. Well, I just think I'm not surprised by this. I think it's important to note it and be like, hey, that's not awesome. And I wanted to bring up something that I'm sure y'all talked about. Did y'all talk about it last week? The Google workers listening on the OK Google?
No, let's talk about that. Google laughed and said, well, of course they're listening. How do you think we do quality assurance?
That's me saying that, but yeah.
But, I mean, honestly.
So what actually we talked about this on our show, Kevin and I, today, but what actually struck me about this was, and I knew that this had happened. One is I thought Google actually had a procedure where they anonymized or modulated the voices so you couldn't tell who was speaking.
That's a good idea.
But apparently they don't have that. I don't know why I thought that. I read it somewhere that was wrong, apparently. But the other thing is the false positive rate here is pretty high. So this company, VNT, something T, they said they had over 1,000 recordings of utterances, and there was 153 false positives where people didn't say Google or okay or hey or anything like that.
Right. And
That's
as a result,
really
there were private conversations and all sorts of stuff. VRT is a Flemish, Belgian news organization that was given the information, leaked the information from one of their language reviewers of some Dutch audio data. And yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? What was it? What percentage was it?
It turns out, we don't know the base number. It's more than 1,000 recordings, but of those more than 1,000, 153 of them were
something like 15, at least 15%.
Yeah, at least 15. Well, at most it would be 15%.
Okay, right, at most 15%, right.
But yeah, but it's still, I mean, that's a crazy high amount. That's not certainty at a place where I would feel comfortable. I mean, I have a Google in my office, but I've always unplugged it when I'm like talking about sensitive things with people. But there's a couple things I want.
You actually go over and unplug your assistants before you have serious conversations?
Well, before I have conversations about like with a source or something, if someone's talking about,
as a journalist,
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't have like I don't have any like of my smart speakers on. Although I guess if you were leaking in on my phone that I'm talking to you on, you could hear it.
Yeah, you have a microphone in your pocket all the time. Here's Google's a part of Google's blog post. Language experts only review around 0.2% of all audio snippets. Actually, that's a surprisingly large number. Honestly, that means that's 20 out of every 1,000 snippets are reviewed. Audio snippets are not associated with user accounts as part of the review process. And this is to your point, Stacy, reviewers are directed not to transcribe background conversations or other noises and only to transcribe snippets that are directed to Google. If they don't hear okay, Goog, they're not supposed to pay. They're supposed to say, oh, I can't listen to that and move on.
Stacy?
Pay it no mind. Yes.
It occurs to me that yes, I get false positives too, right? I'll be talking.
And, we all do, right? Yeah.
But in every case,
I just got one from Siri.
It comes to life. It comes to life, and so when you've triggered a false positive.
No, because you can turn off. You shouldn't, but you can turn off the bloop. And in fact, I've done that on my Echo Show because it's annoying. And so the only way I know is there's a little blue light on my show because it's got a screen. If it didn't have a screen, then maybe there'd be a ring. But if you weren't looking at it, there's no audio.
I see.
cue.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I've done this with now I'm worrying that I shouldn't have. I've done this with the
Turn those back on.
Amazon Echo in my bedroom.
Yeah, because I don't like that. It's annoying. In fact, they probably make it annoying.
Oh, you see, the difference for me is I have the screen. I don't do any screenless assistant.
But even during the show,
That's the
Siri.
difference. Every assistant I use has a screen.
I should just point out, just minutes ago, Siri had a full page of transcribed conversation because it had accidentally been triggered. I didn't say, "Hey Siri," but it had actually been triggered, and it had, this whole screen was full. Now it did make that thing at the end. That's how I knew that little ding at the end. But still, I think they're listening. We should, you know what? Remember in the old days, Mom and Dad would say, "Oh, little pitchers have big ears."
I think that's talking about kids.
Yes.
No, that's
not talking about
kids.
voice assistants. This was 50 years ago. I'm just saying. Now we have to say, little voice assistants have big ears.
Yes.
The Google Assistant only sends audio to Google after your device detects you're interacting with the assistant or thinks you're interacting by saying, "Hey, Google," or physically triggering the Google Assistant. A clear indicator such as the flashing dots on top of a Google Home or an on-screen indicator on your Android device will activate anytime the Google device is communicating with Google in order to fulfill your request. Rarely, devices that have the Google Assistant built in may experience what we call a false accept. It's not so rare.
Is 15% of this particular sample size rare? So
that's high.
I want us to stop talking about this like here's the details. I want us to start talking about how we fix this or how we make these things.
There is one and only one good, but there's one easy solution. It pisses me off. The first assistant that does this will suddenly become the market leader. Let us change the trigger phrase to something long and unusual, please. My old Moto X phone, it was help me.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
My old Moto X phone was help me, and this is how I know they can do it. They did it 5 years ago. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. If I said that, it would trigger. That never had false positives.
The reason you don't do that is because sometimes in the middle of a conversation or argument, you want to
say, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope."
He wants to show off. Leo wants to show that off in every conversation.
No, right, Karsten? And I tell you what, if Echo does it or Google does it, whoever does it first, and it's not a hard thing to do.
This would be so wonderful.
It would be immediately the best-selling device because everybody agrees with me on this. The only reason I can think they don't do this is because it's expensive. You have to have more memory. You have to have more processor. A phone could do it because a phone's got a lot of intelligence. Why these phones don't is beyond me. But a small, cheap, Echo Dot or Google Home Hub, maybe that's too expensive. But look, add the $5 because even if it costs $5 more, everybody will buy that. I don't know why they haven't done that. It drives me nuts.
Okay, well, I have different ideas.
It would also make it so we don't have to always say, "Hey, Shlomo," "Hey, Guillermo," Alyosha.
Children could be named the A word again.
Children could be named ALEXA again. It would please set the free.
Have we seen any? Those every year. Those names kids have. Have you ever seen anything that says?
Oh yeah.
Whether that word has gone up or down?
Oh yeah.
Social Security. Yeah, it went down.
I'll go to Wolfram Alpha. Because I love one of the things I love about Wolfram Alpha is you can put your name in, and you can see the incidence of using that name. So let me just see the name ALEXA. It ranks 90th. Look at the graph. See, can I zoom in on that graph? Let me see if I can zoom in on that graph a little bit. So see, it was going up until it was about 2008, and a sudden precipitous decline in people naming their children ALEXA. There are 85,000 people named ALEXA today, but a lot of 4-year-olds. Expected current age distribution, the youngs. Here's some famous people named ALEXA, but if you look at that graph, that drop-off is pretty precipitous. Something must have caused that. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, the Next Web did a story, let's see, how old is 5 weeks ago. And they've got graphs on Madam A. They've got graphs on Bixby, which is hilarious because Bixby actually goes up.
Nobody names their kid Bixby. And if you do, you should be punished.
It went from 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 0 to 10 is their y-axis.
But we know there's at least one kid in Indonesia named Google. So,
Yeah.
Yes. So in Siri, same decline. Cortana,
no.
It peaked in 2015, apparently. What happened? Was that when?
I think it's right about when all this stuff started to appear. Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering because isn't Cortana named after a video game character?
Yeah, it's a character in Halo. Yeah.
Halo.
It's actually the same character. It's a virtual assistant, female virtual.
It's like Jarvis.
It's like Jarvis.
Only female.
Yeah.
With 3 syllables.
Okay, good. Thank you for ending this on an up note. Anything else we should?
Let's see here.
Did we miss anything you wanted to talk about, Jeff or Stacy?
We got the
I love
Japanese toaster. I'm happy.
Facebook's new finger cams.
What about
That's not real.
Oh, good. Okay.
I mean, it's a patent.
It's a patent. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. Okay.
And somebody
Elon
goes
Musk
berserk about
wanting
it.
to put wires in your head?
No.
Neuralink.
No, we got to do that one.
No.
Yeah, we got to do that one.
So
That was last night.
that was last night.
I
and
know.
It was trending on Twitter. I said, "What is this?" They had a live event which I didn't watch.
I watched the last half of it. The first half, my wife made us go out to the park and go pottering. But
Good for Kimmy.
Yep.
The first advance pottering.
Oh, pottering. I got you.
That's what we call it.
Okay.
We HPWU
I
fans,
see.
we call it pottering.
I thought it was mispronounced puttering.
No, well,
That's
it
what I
is.
was like.
It's equivalent of
How do you
puttering.
go putter in the park?
It's equivalent of puttering. And because there's a big event going on now, we're all out and about, all of us putterers. Elon Musk's Neuralink. This is basically Elon reading too much science fiction, but I am all for it. The idea is, why are we wearing silly glasses or in-ear monitors when we could have wires direct into our brain?
And who better to bore a hole into our heads than Elon Musk?
Yeah. The first big advance is flexible threads, which are less likely, not highly unlikely, but less likely to damage the brain than the current materials used in brain-machine interfaces. These threads also create the possibility.
Maybe some fender benders.
There might, less likely. Threads also create the possibility of transferring a higher volume of data, as many as 3,072 electrodes per array distributed across 96 threads. They are 4 to 6 micrometers in width. That's thinner than a human hair. Think of it as acupuncture for the brain.
You first, Elon.
They are looking for volunteers. Early experiments will be done with neuroscientists at Stanford.
Wait, I need you to describe the picture of the rat because they've tried it on rats.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this isn't the story. There's a
the rat.
fabulous photo. I
Here's
think it's
the
on
rat.
The Verge. There's the rat.
The rat with a USB-C interface.
Good God, that is the worst.
That does seem a little cruel.
Doesn't
At least
it
it's
seem
USB-C.
Yeah, at least it's not micro USB. That would be cruel.
At least it's a modern
That would be
interface.
cruel. So they hope they said by the end of the year, they're going to have a human. We hope to have a human patient by the end the end of next year.
2020.
Musk revealed results that the rest of the team hadn't realized he would. A monkey has been able to control a computer with its brain. You know what? I'm hoping in my lifetime I can put it on a little funny hat with a USB-C interface, and I can lie in bed and be stimulated.
They're doing things with
Can you rephrase that?
magnetic resonance
that are non-intrusive. Yeah.
Yes,
ultimately,
you don't just put on a funny hat. You have this robot that looks like a combination of a sewing machine and a microscope that inject these 96 filaments into your brain. Because he also invented the robot. And if you look at a picture of that, it is horrifying.
Yeah. It's not going to be suddenly Neuralink will have this neural lace and start taking over people's brain, Musk said. Ultimately, we want to achieve a symbiosis with artificial intelligence because even in a benign scenario, humans are going to be left behind. So what we want to create is a merging with AI. He said, we're already a brain in a vat. That vat's our skull. So what we want to do is, make a connection into the vat.
With the thing that he has been arguing is so scary and awful.
Well, he's kind of his attitude, and I think Elon's using a little too much something. I think his attitude is, these are the Neuralink threads. His attitude is, if the AI is taking over, at least we can be part of it.
What's he having for lunch so I don't have it?
Is there? Well, I think they call it. The kids call it Molly. To combat the problem, the company has developed the aforementioned neurological robot capable of inserting 6 threads a minute automatically. I want to see the picture. Where's the picture of the robot? Here it is.
There.
It's not really a robot, though. It's not walking around.
That's going to hang out on your head.
Let me.
So cool.
I had a robot like that hang out my groin for surgery.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Is that what arthroscopic surgery looks like?
That's what it is now. It's robotic.
Yeah,
it's robotic.
So I'm gonna, just to illustrate this, draw a picture of Karsten's head, right there.
Where's the bow tie?
And we need a bow tie. All right,
bow tie for orientation.
Yep, just for orientation. There's Karsten's head, and
his bow tie is usually smaller than his
head.
And
then you know what? I should probably make the threads be a different color, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's make the threads.
Oh, this is perfect.
I will, when I look like that picture from FaceApp, I will get this done. Because why not?
Okay. Yeah, you got nothing left to lose.
They could put it in my waddle. So, Karsten, you think this is a good idea?
I think this is important and
I agree.
Needs to be done. And
yes, we got to do it. To make an omelet,
is it important, Karsten?
you need to break a few eggs.
So is it important because of the looming threat of AI, or is it important because it's people who are paralyzed and otherwise incapacitated?
There are several reasons why it is important. It is important because people are blind and deaf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's also important because movies shown through this would be really cool.
I think. Imagine. I think this would be great. Because so far, here's the problem, and this is, this is the stuff of science fiction where in the Matrix they connect a thing to the back of your head. The human machine interface is very poor right now. Speech is the closest thing we've got to a natural interface. Typing is not it. And wearables like watches or AirPods or these silly glasses, they're really primitive. I think we're going to need, if it's going to happen, we need this kind of, interface. And you know what? I think within my lifetime we will perfect this. Next 20 or 30 years we will perfect.
And then I predict you'll become, whatever company does it, you'll be complaining about them.
Well, yeah. They've got a monopoly on the Neuralink.
On my head.
I have such a headache. But you won't need Botox. You won't need Botox.
Maybe.
You may not. That's true. You may not.
Yep. All right. Neuralink.
Calm us all down.
And we're done.
You're right. This is what we need. We need it in every head in the country so we can just calm angry people down.
Push a button. The president, instead of having the nuclear codes, he'll have the Neuralink codes.
Oh, God.
Flip a switch and we all go, hi. So the funniest thing, I didn't watch this, but according to The Verge, the chief surgeon, when he came out to do his presentation, was dressed in scrubs, like he was like I'm just out of the OR. Little bit of theater in Elon's soul, little bit of it. Let's get our picks of the week, and we can.
Are we not going to do a you know what?
A what?
The Google change.
Oh crap!
log.
Again with the Google change log. Play the trumpets. No. I said I would. Karsten has prepared it.
The Google change log.
The trumpeters are ready.
The trumpets will sound.
They've been smoking in the back for a while. How about this? Google, this is neat. Arts and Culture, they do some really cool stuff. They have made an AR gallery that you can use that celebrates color, the art of color. You can wander through the gallery. It's a Pocket Gallery. You need the application Pocket Gallery, and you put it on your phone.
Is it Rothko's?
I don't know. You can actually put these things. This is we're seeing a lot of this in honor of the Apollo 11 launch this week. NASA has put a lunar lander on your desk.
Oh.
Whistler's mother. Oh, they say they've got Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Night Watch, which I have seen in Amsterdam. If you get a chance to go to the Rijksmuseum and go to the Rembrandt Gallery, The Night Watch is at the end. It is massive, and that is worth going to Amsterdam just to see. But now you could do it in your phone. I can't imagine it'll be quite the same. But for not everybody can get there, and it's just an amazing painting. Speaking of AR, did you see the Stranger Things ad in the New York Times, where you can go visit the Starcourt Mall, and it becomes to life?
That means you need a print newspaper. What's that?
Yeah, it's kind of a mismatch. It's a technology mismatch.
Yeah. Have you watched Stranger Things yet?
I started.
I haven't.
Not compelling.
Sorry.
Not compelling. Maybe because the 80s weren't like a big thing for me. I don't know.
That was my childhood, so I'll reserve judgment.
Did you like it, Kirsten?
I did not actually like the 80s living through them because
nobody who lived in the 80s liked the 80s.
I like looking back upon them.
Yeah. That mall is kind of cool. It was an old disused mall that they rebuilt for shooting the show. And as a result, they got, they put in old movie theaters. They had a game. There was a game store they didn't end up using. It's kind of cool. Google tweeted, because that's how Google communicates now. Over the next couple of weeks, we're rolling out a redesigned news tab and search on desktop. The refreshed design makes publisher names more prominent. I wonder why. And organizes articles more clearly to help you find the news you need. To which immediately somebody replies, "Is there a way to revert it back?" Have we seen this? Have you seen it?
Yeah, so the problem is Google, when they changed Google News the last time, it became useless for me for researching the show. So what I have to do is go to Google, search for the word Google, which makes me feel like an idiot, and then go to the news tab there.
Oh,
and
that's
the
a good
advantage
idea.
of that was that, but it's not so good anymore. The advantage of that was that it had the old view that here's one version of the story and here's other versions. They've taken all that away. So now it's just pretty boxes, and it's not as useful.
Oh,
pretty boxes now.
That's the pretty boxes.
It's useful, but not as useful.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
And Google, of course, leads with Fox News because, hey, I don't want anybody to shut me down. That actually might be a search result for me. I don't know if you get the same result.
It's also a current story. Yeah, that's how I do research every week for the show.
Ah, smart. Do you know about the tennis game hidden in Google?
I lost with one ball.
I know you're a serious tennis player.
No.
So it's in honor of Wimbledon, which, by the way, Federer, Djokovic,
we are all huge Federer fans, so it broke our hearts. But what an amazing
match!
final.
Nobody won that match. That was a tie. That was amazing.
Was it ever?
Yeah. So if you search for Wimbledon scores, where's the tennis? Is it at the bottom? I don't see it. Let me go back and look. Look at the article again.
You go to the score you go Wimbledon scores, and then there's a bar at the top. You scroll it far to the left.
Oh,
and there's a little ball there at the right.
Ah. See, I wasn't scrolling.
Bar all the way to the left.
Oh, I wasn't scrolling.
Scroll right there, that little green ball.
What's that ball doing there? Oh, I'll tell you what it's doing there. It's time to play tennis. Wait, let me turn my sound.
Right and left keys.
Okay, I'm ready. Is there sound? Oh, this is Pong. That's Pong, baby. Boop, bloop. And the game is over. And I'm just as bad. No, it's not over yet, cat. Oh, this is like Federer Djokovic. Okay, never mind. The first Google Messages beta 4.7 crashes instantly on start. Just a word of warning if you're doing the beta. And Alphabet's Wing launches an app to manage air traffic for drones. This is the Wing Air Management System. Wing is an offshoot of Alphabet, and the app is called Open Sky. It's been approved to manage drone flights in Australia, where it's free. So if you're not down under, maybe you won't get a chance to use this. Everyone, if it says empowering everyone to safely access the sky. Flying is complex. Through automation and data, our Open Sky platform empowers you to take flight with confidence. Having crashed many, many, many drones, many drones, I am all in on this. It's approved by CASA in Australia. So when you open it up and you agree to the terms of service, as I am doing right now, but boy, that's a long terms of service. I should have read that probably. You'll get a choice of recreational, commercial, or REOC. Those are licensed drones. I'm going to do recreational, flying for fun or hobby. And you see it's only got, the map only works in Australia. There's no information for anywhere else. And it could tell you, what you can do. Here's some checklist. Okay. That's cool.
So does this control your drone in some way?
I think it's
is there an API for that?
It's like a flight plan. It helps you know what's around, I guess. We did the emoji. Yeah. Oh, one more. Google Maps now has, I think this is good, bike sharing stations. Bike sharing was big. And is it still big in New York City with a city bike? People still do that, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
So last April, city bikes started appearing on Google Maps. Now, Asia, America, Europe, real-time bike sharing data from a partnership with ITO World. You'll be able to locate the nearest bike sharing station in 23 cities: Barcelona, Berlin, Brussels, Budapest, Chicago, Dublin, Hamburg, Helsinki, Kaohsiung, London, Los Angeles, Lyon, Madrid, Mexico City, Montreal, New Taipei City, Rio de Janeiro, the San Francisco Bay Area, yay, Sao Paulo, Toronto, Vienna, Warsaw, and Zurich. You will search for a specific bike share service. So you start with the service, but it'll show you a carousel of services, and then it'll tell you. The app, if you use Lime or any of the other services, the app will show you where a nearby bike is. So this isn't, you can use you probably will use the app, because in most cases, these bikes, you use the app to check them out, to unlock them. So it's nice. It's good to have. You can
I ask a quick question, Leo? One more story?
Yeah.
The Neilsen podcast monitoring story.
Yes. There's actually two big stories in podcasting. One, a rumor from Bloomberg that Apple is going to start funding original podcasts.
Oh.
And it's Mark Gurman, who's very good, so I think it's probably accurate. That would be exclusive to Apple's podcast service. They have a podcast app now on both Macintosh and on phones. And this, to me, is exactly what I would expect from Apple. It's what Spotify's doing. They're treating podcasts like television shows. And it's because of Serial and shows like that have seasons and big rollouts. And I guess Apple will give them big budgets. And even though they're not video, that's kind of a television model. It's a must-see TV model. Oh, yeah, I'm watching Serial. I've got to see episode 2, episode 3. Our model is radio. This is like a radio show. It's on every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's always been more my model. And I think almost all podcasts are on that radio model. Makes sense, though, that Apple, given their background, they're going to treat this like Netflix, like they do their own television operations. We're going to give Sony $100,000 to produce a podcast, and we'll tell them what it is, the James Corden show or whatever. So I expect that. My biggest concern about Apple doing this, you might remember a year ago, Apple added podcast metrics. And this is how it's going to tie into Neilsen. Added podcast metrics to its podcast app. And so podcasters can get those net metrics, but so can advertisers. The problem is it's limited to people who used Apple's podcast apps or iTunes to get podcasts. So and listen. By the way, you have to listen in the app. So it's kind of limited in its value to us, because that isn't even a majority of our listeners. If Apple decides to really double down on this, advertisers could put pressure on us to use those metrics. And that's kind of the answer to the second story, which is that Nielsen, which is the big television ratings company, and with Scarborough, they do radio ratings as well. They're going to, it's really, you know, the only way I could measure how you listen to this show is if I had the app that you're listening to, then I would get that data back from the app. But our audience listens on a huge number of apps, as I want them to, including Spotify and Apple's iTunes. I want you to listen wherever you want to listen.
And old-fashioned RSS.
And download it or on your computer, or listen on an Amazon Echo. I think increasingly Echo and Google Assistant listens are going to become a big part of our downloads because it's so easy. You can just say, Echo, play the This Week in Google podcast, and it'll play it. So Nielsen, realizing that, said, well, we're just going to call people. They already do this. This isn't, a big addition.
The problem is it's not like you're doing 3 networks. The sample cannot possibly be large enough to find this show.
Yeah.
The odds of finding somebody who listens to this show through sampling.
Well, and there will be huge pressure. There already is pressure on us. Nielsen has already kind of signed up iHeart Podcast Network, Cadence 13, Midroll, Westwood One, and Cabana. And by the way, all of those do their advertising. In fact, some of them are agencies. So it's going to put pressure on us from advertisers saying, well, Midroll has that information. Why don't you? This is, this is part of a medium becoming mature, but it kind of squeezes people like us.
Yeah, that's my
out.
fear. The little guys and the new guys won't be seen. They'll not exist.
Yeah, it's making it mainstream media, but that's what's happened to podcasting. It's no longer a hobbyist thing. You can still do it as a hobby as long as you don't need to make any money at it. But if you decided you want to make a business out of it, you're going to have to become a player.
Right.
That's sad. But YouTube will continue. That's a good place for people to go. There will be places that people can make stuff. Anchor, which was bought by Spotify, but Anchor.fm facilitates people making shows. It couldn't be easier. If you've got a smartphone, you can make a podcast. And Anchor gets numbers, and they sell advertising for you and all that stuff too, so you can monetize it. So it's just the way. It's
Thank
honestly,
you.
it's
I was
the way
curious your thoughts.
Yeah.
All right.
I have no idea what the future is going to hold. We're going in August. We're going to the big podcast movement show, which is the last trade show for podcasts. It's in Orlando. Lisa and I are going to go. We're going to bring some of our staff. All the agencies we know are going to be there. I think it's going to be a very interesting time because on the one hand, it's time for a victory lap. Podcasts now, they're hot, right? It's a victory lap for podcasting. This is a true medium, and frankly, I think is on par. Notice, by the way, a couple of those companies I mentioned are radio companies. It is now radio companies, Spotify, Apple, they're all saying, this is the new medium. So that's really good in terms of the stature of podcasting. The downside is it also, I don't know what the amateur podcaster, I don't know what that's going to do to them. We've been very lucky. We've kind of found a way to survive over the last 15 years. It may be, maybe that our path is to acquisition by one of these companies. I wouldn't be surprised if in the long run that's what ends up happening. It's, it's just, it's kind of what happens, I think.
You, for one, welcome your new master.
Well, if I got
I welcome my new corporate overlords.
Yeah.
But then you'd have to work for a while.
The whole reason I did Twit 15 years ago was so that I would be the corporate overlord. So I didn't have to modify. And you can tell if you listen to any of our shows, they go on and on and on. They're completely discursive. No corporate parent would have allowed us to spend half an hour talking about language changes at the beginning of the show.
On toast.
Or toast. So
that had a tech angle.
Toast at least had a tech angle.
Well, it's a commerce opportunity.
So there you go. You shouldn't have asked me. That slowed us down.
All right.
Hey, this was a lot of fun. Stacy's mad. Stacy,
I'm not mad. I am getting hungry though. I'll be honest.
I can tell.
Because you see what I have here?
Oh, is it?
I have Stacy's thing.
Yes.
This is.
And
tell us about this. This is what?
These are the Wise bulbs. These are a package of 4 bulbs made by.
Okay, now see the lights above
Google.
me and these lights here. Now you say out loud as you can.
Okay, Google, turn off Wise.
Oh, they're already off.
They're already off.
Turn them off.
Okay.
TWIT
Okay.
office cam.
You want them on or off?
They're off now.
They're off now. You can turn
They're
them
off
Okay.
now.
Do you want to turn on the lights or do you want them Wise?
Turn on the lights.
Okay. Okay, Google, turn on the lights.
Okay, turning on 3 lights.
Yay.
That was a long way to go for nothing. Okay, Google, set the lights to warm.
They are.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, Google, make the lights cool.
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that.
She's so nice. What am I saying wrong, Karsten? I
Um,
don't remember what the syntax was. Anyway, you get the idea. Because these are white, right? These are like hues, but they're not colored, right, Stacy? The Wise bulbs.
Right. They're tunable and they're dimmable. So tunable means they can turn from, I think it's 2700 to 6500 Kelvin in the color temperature.
Yeah.
So super warm to super cool. And then they are dimmable, but they do not work in a dimmer switch. So do not put them on a dimmer switch.
Okay.
But you can dim them from the app or from Google or Madam A. And the catch here is that these are 4 Wi-Fi bulbs that you can buy for $29.99.
Oh, what a deal.
After shipping, it's like 41. Shipping and tax is like $41.70 or something.
So,
But
that's so. I mean, that's not. There's cheaper LED bulbs, but they're cheaper than the Hue, right?
they're cheaper than any Wi-Fi. So any Wi-Fi bulb that is both tunable and dimmable in just white, that is the cheapest price I've seen.
Okay, here we go. Okay, Google, set lights to cool white.
You got it. Changing 3 lights to cool white.
They look exactly the same, but trust me, they're not. They're
Here, let's see if you can tell the difference, because I'll turn mine to. Let's see where
your
am I?
camera might
This is-
sense it better. We have so many lights in here that overwhelm these that it's not
Right.
going to look any different.
Okay, this is the coolest setting. I'm getting
It's
warmer.
not, I can tell you, looking at the light, it's definitely noticeable. So cool is like daylight, and warm is like sunset. And so they're like, if you wanted to wake up or pay attention, you'd set it to a cooler temperature, a bluer temperature. And if you want it to be more restful, can you dim these?
You can. See, I just turned mine to the orangest setting.
Okay.
Here, I will dim it. Here I am. This is 50%. And then I could turn out all my lights.
Should you
and then
get
that's
these instead of the Hue, not obviously
Yes,
the Hue
okay.
color, but the Hue white bulbs?
So here's my take on these. You should buy these if you want to play with smart lights. I actually just did a post in my newsletter last week about how I think Wise is the smart company to watch, smart home company to watch, because
Oh, I totally
I'm
agree.
glitching all over.
It's amazing.
Because it's so cheap. You can play with this stuff without really risking a lot. The lights, you don't actually have to have the camera for it to work. If you do have the camera.
Well, let me ask you that. Does this
and-
need a hub? Because Wise sells a hub. You don't
Wise
need the
sells a
hub.
camera and a bridge, but you don't need that for the lights.
Oh, okay. So that's another
And
reason to
this-
get it. You just put these in your bulbs, and then I have the
Right.
Wise app on my phone. I can control them, or I can use. It says it works with both Google and Amazon's Echo.
It does, and it works with IFT.
So one of the things I like about the Hue bulbs, once I have the Hue hub on there, is I can tell Amazon to look for the Hue hub, and if they're all on the same network, it'll see it, and then I'll be able to control it from that point on. How do I get Amazon or Google to find these? Does it just see them?
It just, when you link you set it up so you link the accounts, and then with Google, it just found them. With Amazon, I did a device discovery.
Yeah. So you have to tell it to search. And I have controls here, which is kind of nice. I can turn them on and off from the app. And would that be the case over the internet? Could I, or do I have to be on the same network as the bulbs to turn them on and off?
No, you can remotely control them because they are, again, Wi-Fi.
Nice.
So, yay. And then let's see if this, I set mine up.
I think Wise is amazing.
Oh, no, that's the right sensor. I was showing you what happened with the sensor. Let's do
Oh, it
that
has a
again.
sensor? Because I love that with my Philips.
So I bought the Wise Sense kit, and I'm using
that's
an open
right.
and close right now
that's
because, and that's $20. It's $19.99. For that, you do need the camera. But here it is. Ready? This is how fast it works. This is me. Oh, this is really slow right now. Oh, it was so slow that time. Wow.
But normally it's pretty quick.
Normally it's faster, but that was like a good, 7 seconds of latency, 5 seconds of latency? I didn't count.
So this is cool. So Stacy's review is on the web at stacyoniot.com. I think, honestly, I think I'm going to stock up on these. I think that's really great.
There are a couple things. One, the scheduling is a mess. The scheduling is not where you expect it to be. So if you do buy these and you want to schedule them for a time, know that you have to go to the shortcuts, not the bulb itself.
Okay.
The bulb itself has weird timing. I don't know why they did that.
They'll fix all that. This is Wise's story, which is they get this stuff out really cheap and then they incrementally improve it. They just added people recognition to their $20 cameras.
I know, with a company called Exonor.ai, and I think I may have introduced them, but I'm not 100% sure.
You should get a finder's fee.
No, I'm just happy that
this is a Seattle company, right?
Both of them are.
I feel like they've really done a great job of making this stuff very, very accessible, at least price-wise. And the features are great. And the cameras, there's no subscription fee. So these are really desirable, I think, products.
And you record locally if you want. If you want to, you can actually not have it. Like the sensors won't work without the internet, and neither will these bulbs. They won't work remotely, or there'd be no point in having them. But the camera, you can pop an SD card in, and you don't have to have anything go to the internet.
Yeah, I love that. It does not use 5 gigs. It uses 2.4 only.
And then it has a proprietary protocol for the sensors.
They're not using a standard.
It's a sub-gigahertz thing. They're doing it because range and power consumption.
Okay. But at that price, something you could play with. You know what I'd love to see is LED strips and stuff like that, the additional accessories.
I would like to see an outdoor camera.
Outdoor camera would be great.
I just bought an outdoor housing for my camera, so we'll see. Home Depot just put a Wise smart plug 2 for $20 on their website.
Oh man, that's pretty good.
As a possible product leak.
Pretty good.
So
thank you, Stacy, and thanks to Anthony Neilsen, our producer, who set this up so we could show you in studio what you're doing.
And I screwed it up. I'm sorry.
No, you did great. I think these are really cool. And they, LED bulbs, these last forever, right? I mean, they're really should last a really long time.
Some of them do, some of them don't.
It's funny. Sometimes they do burn out. Every time I change a light bulb in the house, I tell Lisa, well, this is the last time I'll be changing this one.
My biggest issue is my radios fail more often than the light bulb.
Oh, interesting. Maybe that's what's going wrong. Yeah. Jeff Jarvis, a number of the week.
Hold on, there's 2 of them here. Google made 3,200 changes to search last year.
Wow.
This from Search Engine Land, always a great resource.
Oh, yes.
Versus in 2010, they made 350 to 400 changes.
All right.
Back in the days of map cuts.
This was a big one compared to that.
So it's just all kinds of things that they do. And again, this goes to the notion that show us your algorithm. Well, okay, you want all the additions too?
Algorithm? Just the APIs, I'll ask. My pick of the week, I already told you about, which is Start Page, which gives you Google results without giving Google any information. And it's easy to install if you're using Firefox. I've moved from Brave because I wanted a private browser, but I think Firefox is really on the forefront now of this, including the ability to use Start Page in the search bar as its default search engine. It's very easy to configure if you go to startpage.com and you've got Firefox. And there's one other thing I want to mention. Steve Gibson's been talking a lot about DNS over HTTPS. If it's at the very bottom of the network settings in the general settings of Firefox, if you enable DNS over HTTPS and use Cloudflare, what'll happen is it'll use Cloudflare's DNS, not your ISP's DNS. Your ISP, every time you use, go out and, look up a site, your ISP gets the information about what sites you visit. And many ISPs sell that information to marketers and other people, and maybe that's something they don't deserve. So they don't like it. In fact, the British Internet Society or whatever said that Mozilla was the enemy of the year, or they nominated them because they were enabling DNS over HTTPS, secure DNS, because it would make it hard for the British authorities to filter sites. Another good reason to use it. I'm starting to really feel like Mozilla, with its sync, with its features, with its privacy, is my choice for a browser. I mean, if you want to block trackers, cookies, crypto miners, and fingerprinters, all the features that a privacy advocate would want are in here. And I'm starting to think with Brave, with its cryptocurrency and some of the things it's doing, I maybe want to go with somebody who really has no axe to grind, and that is, of course, Firefox. So Firefox plus Start Page, that's my new default for searching the interface. Start Page, searching the internet, startpage.com. Thank you, Stacy. Go eat. Thank you, Jeff. Go do whatever it is people of your age do. I'm sorry we missed the early bird dinner at Denny's, but...
Oh, you're so cruel.
That's so mean.
I'm 3 years behind him. I can do that. It's okay.
I went to Taco Bell today and I asked for the senior discount.
But do show that picture one more time of the aging.
Oh, thanks a lot.
No, I love you, Jeff. You know that.
Wizened Jeff.
Happy birthday, Jeff. You're getting younger now, by the way. It starts counting backwards now. Jeff Jarvis is a professor at journalism at CUNY. He writes at buzzmachine.com. He's on the Twitter at Jeff Jarvis, and he's a great guy. If you ever get a chance to say hi to him at an airport, please do.
Yeah, do, because people after they say, hey, I just saw Jeff Jarvis. Why don't you say hi? Say hi.
Yeah, it's okay.
Unless
he
you're
likes
a troll.
that.
Say hi.
No troll. Well, if you're a troll, say hi. He'll punch you in the nose. So it's perfect. Former TV Guide critic and our man about town, Mr. Jeff Jarvis, and in English. Such an inspiration. Thank you for Dreyer's English. That's so good. And I'm
really good.
Tell me that other book again. I really want to read it.
Oh, hell. I forgot it.
That's all right. I'll listen back to the show.
I was like, ooh, I want to read Oh, hell.
John, you look up John McWhorter.
Okay.
McWhorter.
Excellent. I love stuff about this, like this. He's an American academic and linguist at Columbia. Thank you, Stacy. We love you too. Stacy on IoT.com is her website, the IoT podcast with Kevin Toffel. And of course, Stacy's great newsletter, a free newsletter you must subscribe to. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Please come back. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 20:30 UTC. You can watch live. Actually, you can join us live. We had some nice members of the studio audience visiting today. All you have to do is email tickets at twit.tv. Right, Roberto? Tickets at twit.tv. You don't have to wear a Twit hat, but you could wear a Marshall McLuhan Rebels t-shirt. That would be welcome. If you want to watch live on our stream, we have a stream for you, twit.tv/live, audio and video. If you do that, the chat room is the place to be. Hang out with the other people watching live at irc.twit.tv. On-demand versions of the show still available. No salesman will call from Neilsen. Just go to twit.tv/twig or fire up your favorite podcast application and subscribe. I don't care which one you use. We're not spying on you. We just want you to get it the minute it's available. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google.